Colleen Kolar-Kotelly's temporary order denies DOJ as a whole access to payment records and systems from the Treasury's Bureau of Fiscal Services, which oversees about 90% of federal payments. The order only allows two people who are special government employees within DOJ to have read-only access, which prevents them from changing any system. Federal workers sued, calling full access by DOJ to payment information an invasion of their privacy.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Democrats accuse Musk and President Trump of using the Department of Government Efficiency for a power grab. The White House says it's long-awaited accountability for taxpayers. The Trump administration says some migrants arrested in raids across the country are being released.
Fewer than 6% of the thousands of undocumented immigrants arrested in the first weeks of the administration are being released, with court orders, ankle monitoring, and other conditions.
I've been told that some were released because of some health concerns that we could not handle within ICE detention.
President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says he is asking federal agencies for more details on who was released and why.
But the president made it clear we're ending catch and release.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says some have been released due to a lack of detention capacity. None, she says, have final deportation orders.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The U.S. military just confirming a U.S. service member and 3 defense contractors were killed when a contracted flight crashed in the Philippines. The military says that aircraft was on a surveillance mission requested by the U.S. ally. The crash is under investigation. America is listening to Fox News.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our temperatures going through Thursday afternoon, holding in the 40s. We should peak out at about 48, a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a chance of a spot shower. Tonight, clear and cold, 31. Friday, partly sunny, 42. Here comes the next batch of rain after midnight Friday night. That continues until about noontime on Saturday. Saturday, 59 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny, 38. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Mark Cox here. Are you looking for the perfect start to your child's education? At Kirk Day School, the early childhood program for ages 3 and 4 is where your little one will learn to thrive. They have hands-on activities, nurturing teachers, and a biblical worldview. You can attend their early childhood open house Friday, March 7th, meet the dedicated educators, and tour their Christ-centered classrooms. To register for their early childhood open house and learn more, visit kirkdayschool.org.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid with no cost to you, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis and they get paid instantly. This is 100% free to you. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need and your caregiver gets paid instantly. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want great care from a loved one that's free to you through Medicaid, go to freedomcare.com or call 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
God bless everybody. We want to come together and the happiest, the person, the element, the everything that's going to be happy. People of religion are going to be happy again. And I really believe you can't be happy without religion, without that belief. I really believe it. I just don't see how you can be. So let's bring religion back. Let's bring God back into our lives. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
Love the message this morning. The president speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast. This is Ryan Wiggins and Brad Range. We are filling in for Annie because we're just like you. We're just waking up and going, well, how's your voice? And if it's not very good, well, then we know that we're going to be filling in today. So we have a very, very, very full show today. Hans von Spakovsky coming up next. We're going to talk about all the legal matters happening with the White House and all the fights that are happening in the courts right now. Representative Bob Onder coming up in the next hour, and Jonathan Hoenig going to talk about the economy, which I'm looking forward to because I had to tell Brad when we started the show, how is the economy? I actually I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it everybody's kind of waiting, it feels like. So looking forward to that conversation.
Really, really early to make a call, I think.
I don't mean Trump's economy. I just mean the economy. I think everybody's waiting to see what is this going to be. But this is Ryan Wiggins, so we will be here with you for the show. And the YouTube live chat poll is actually on this topic. Have you been sick in 2025? I really don't know anybody who hasn't been sick at all. So I've had a little bit, but no big deal, thank God. Brad's had a little bit, but no big deal.
No, not really.
Not really?
Never been sick.
Oh, I thought you had maybe a little something because, you were just sort of like battling off maybe this week or last week. But then you're the only person I know who would say to this poll, no, I haven't been sick. Most people, although chiming in right now, are saying that they're doing pretty well. So that's good to hear. But obviously, there's so many things going around right now. I know at schools, they're having trouble even getting subs because so many people are out. So many students are out. So hang in there. Let us know how this year's been for you in the YouTube live chat poll. I played that Trump clip to start the segment here because obviously this morning he was at the National Prayer Breakfast. But I love when presidents, congressmen, anybody attends the National Prayer Breakfast. That's one time where we actually do see bipartisanship. And while there are still points made that are partisan in these prayer breakfasts, it is a time when we kind of let go of everything for a moment. And we put ourselves under one head, in a sense. We put ourselves under God and say, well, that's the most important thing. And then all this other stuff is still very important, but it's the second in importance. And I'm a big fan of that. And I know a lot of people, they don't like it when they hear people like Nancy Pelosi saying, well, I pray for the president. You know, and I get it. I get it. That stuff is probably sarcastic. They're taking shots at each other. But I still am glad to hear those things, because even like what it was last week or the week before, the woke pastor or the woke bishop or whatever she is, who is speaking at the church where J.D. Vance and Donald Trump were, and making just pointed, heated arguments right at them that made no sense. I kid you not, and I said this on my weekend show, stepped away from that and said, I'm still glad that we're having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because now, instead of us fighting over politics, we're fighting over what is truth. I think that's a great place to be.
Well, the fact that we're fighting over truth, because we're coming out of that mindset that there is no such thing as truth.
Exactly.
And now that we're fighting, now it's a matter of, well, somebody's got to be right. There's got to be some sort of truth. And then what we're doing then is an exercise in unity, looking for what the truth is.
And it's where America has come from, and people on both sides of the aisle right now are asking that question. Well, are we? Are we a Christian nation? Are we not? What does that look like? And I think that's a good place to be. And so that's why we start the show there today, talking about Trump being at the prayer breakfast. He told some stories from our past that I thought were pretty good.
The stories of legends like Washington, Winthrop, and Williams remind us that without faith in God, there would be no American story. Every citizen should be proud of this exceptional heritage. We have an unbelievable heritage, and we have to use that and make life better for everyone. That's why as we approach the 25th times 10 anniversary, think of that, 250 years we'll be celebrating next year of our country's founding. I have signed an executive order to resume the process of creating a new national park full of statues of the greatest Americans who ever lived. We're going to be honoring our heroes, honoring the greatest people from our country. We're not going to be tearing down, we're going to be building up. It will be called the National Garden of American Heroes. Some of you will be on that soon-to-be hallowed ground.
You know, I wonder sometimes if right now, if we were to be founding a new nation like they did 250 years ago, if we would be able to even say, yeah, we should put one nation under God on our currency. You know, little basic things like that.
Would we be able to?
Would we be able to? Or would there be such a fight over something like that that we wouldn't even be able to agree that that's a good thing?
I think that second sentiment is correct. I think there would be a big fight over it. Now, legally speaking, we're founding a new nation. There are no laws. We could do whatever the heck we want as we found that nation. But the public together, the people trying to get together and decide, are we a nation under God? Are we a nation under something else? That would be a major fight.
We're still asking those questions today. Are we one nation under God? Are we not? Trump addressed that this morning.
Thomas Jefferson himself once attended Sunday services held in the old House chamber on the very ground where I stand today. So there could be nothing more beautiful than for us to gather in this majestic place. It is majestic, and reaffirm that America is and will always be one nation under God. At every stage of the American story, our country has drawn hope and courage and inspiration from our trust in the Almighty. Deep in the soul of every patriot is the knowledge that God has a special plan and a glorious mission for America. And that plan is going to happen. It's going to happen. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. It's going to happen. And it's His hand that guides us every single step of the way. And all of you and the things we have to do, is to see the defining role that faith and prayer have played in the life of our nation. And you just have to look at this building, and you can look at each other. You can really look at each other. It's defined almost everyone in this room. I think faith has been very strong with the people in this room.
I really don't care whether it's Republican or Democrat. I don't care which president it is. When I hear a leader of our nation saying things like that, it excites me. And whether it be just paying it lip service, like some people might, some people probably say Donald Trump's doing that. That's fine. I would think that more about certain leaders who are, in my opinion, not following these tenets as closely either. So I get that. But I still think it's very, very important to determine what is truth, just like we were saying before, Brad and I. What is truth? Why do we do what we do? Well, because we have a guiding set of principles that we generally try to follow in all aspects of life, whether that be as governing or as a dad or as a husband or whatever it is. For me, that's what I try to do. Excuse me. And so as we're talking about all of these political issues, and listen when I say we're going to get into some stuff today. We're going to get into some stuff actually right now. It's important to know why we believe what we believe in. And to me, these kind of things kind of reset the stage, and then we're able to kind of go out and have our battles and talk about these things. But what is truth? That's the question. We've been asking that question in the last even few days because there's a lot of things coming out that are, you could put them under the banner of Doge if you wanted to, but really it's about mismanagement of the government. And, you know, whether that means Elon Musk is involved or not, it's not as important to me as what's being uncovered that we've been spending money on as a government. Because as a government, they only get money from two places. Yeah. One of them is from you and your pocket, and the other is just printing it or borrowing it. Yeah. And so either way, you're paying for it, whether they do option one or option two. So these are things you're paying for. So when reports come out that the government is funding all kinds of insane things, and I'm not just talking about the transgender comic book in Peru that gets the headlines. I'm talking about big stuff that shifts the balance, shifts the perception of what America is constantly. It's important to make sure that we know what's true and what's not, because this stuff's going to be coming out constantly. It's not just yesterday that there was a whole bunch of new stuff that dropped from the USAID. This is going to be the next 4 years, hopefully. I mean, hopefully we are constantly uncovering how much crap that we've been wasting money on. But we can't just turn to Twitter to find out what's coming out, because I'm trying to keep up with all this stuff. Brad, I know you are. I mean, we're almost... it's drinking through a fire hose. There's so much coming out that you're like, is this real? Is this real? Because people push something out and then it just goes. And so you got to check, well, what's the source? Is it coming from the White House? And did the White House get it right? Is it coming from who knows where? And that's where a good media should come into play, that you're check and balance on these things, that you can just kind of sift through the rumors. And we're going to try to do that. That's why we're media, but we're local. We're not in Washington, D.C. I don't have access to the White House in the same way these massive media companies do. So they should be defending you. They should be looking into all this spending. Instead, what are they doing? They're mostly attacking Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to find the truth, because if you're looking to the media, one of the stories is about funding the media.
Yeah.
It's about Politico possibly getting $8 million a year to basically prop up the whole organization and keep it afloat, is what it sounds like. And then you go, well, how do I find out whether that's true or not? Well, you would hopefully turn to the media to be looking into it. But it's the media that's on the dole.
Yeah.
So how do you find what's real? Well, I'll tell you this. I looked up and I've been researching a couple of these stories, and I'll try to get to them real quick so we can get to Hans on time here. But this one about Politico getting $8 million, if you look it up right now, I kid you not, you can type this in to Google. The top headlines, New York Times, is Trump amplifies conspiracy theory over payments to Politico. Other ones, like Fox News says, White House announces Doge is canceling payments to Politico. Okay, that one's a little more down the middle because it's not really taking a side. There are other ones that say, hey, this is a conspiracy theory, like the New York Times. But the ones that are far left are saying it's a conspiracy theory. But get this, Politico has now said that millions in government payments were subscriptions. So there is truth to it.
Yes.
Politico is saying that it was true that they were getting subscription money from the U.S. government. But when you subscribe to something, which if you're a news junkie like we are, you've probably been tempted to, even if you haven't.
Right.
You see the subscription come up. What is it usually? Oh, for $1 a week or a month, you could subscribe to the Wall Street Journal or whatever it is, $1 or $5, something like that. Something that's pretty enticing to make you go, well, that's not that big of a deal. Maybe I could do that. I'll at least do the free trial, whatever. What they're finding is that Politico looks to have made a tier that wasn't $5,
right?
That wasn't $10, that wasn't even $1 a day, doing the $30 a month. They were doing a subscription that looks to be only U.S. government people that were in on this level.
Right.
That was at least $10,000, and some people are suggesting all the way up to $35,000 a year for a subscription.
Single subscription.
To some aspect of Politico. That Politico is saying, well, it's not technically the newspaper. It's like this other thing that we do. Whatever. It's just a money laundering operation to keep Politico writing good stories about what they want it to be. So when you turn to the media to find out if the media is corrupt, it's kind of a doom loop. It's tough to find. And so we appreciate you tuning in to places like 97.1 and the Annie Fry Show because we do our best to give you the truth. And there are other ones. Now, throughout this show, I'm running out of time here. I was hoping to get to more of these. But there are several other of these that I've been looking into to find out whether they're true or there's some truth to them, or whether they're complete propaganda, because there's that being floated. And this is going to happen too, is that when we get in the midst of this, there are bad actors that are going to get involved, that are going to float stuff out there because it sounds salacious. People are going to grab it, people are going to report on it, and find out it was false.
Yeah.
That will happen. That's actually already happened. We'll get to more of this as we go throughout the day because we just want accuracy. We want transparency. And that is the point of having all these people look into all this government spending. There's been no transparency for a long time. Well, this is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry. Hans von Spakovsky is going to come up next. We're going to talk about some of these court cases against Elon Musk and lots of other things. So stick around.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Well, you've heard me talking about Andrea's steak sauce for many years now, and it's before I was on the radio that I've been a big fan of Andrea's. We know the Andrea's family very, very well, the Kennisons, and they are a third-generation family running the restaurant in Fairview Heights, Andrea's Restaurant, if you've never been. Like I said yesterday, we've been there a lot in the last few weeks, and Annie has too, and gosh, the food is just so good. The unfortunate thing is once you have a steak that good, then you go to get it kind of a average steak, and you're like, well, this is pointless. Why am I even here? But Andrea's steak sauce is so good. I've called it the great equalizer because we use it on as much as we can at our house. We'll just pour it over a pork tenderloin and put it in the oven. It really makes everything taste like you put a lot of work into it, even if you didn't. I'm looking right now at their website, at their menu. They have a grilled portobello mushroom. It's just a portobello mushroom. It tastes like a steak because they cook it like a steak with Andrea's sauce on it. If you've never tried that, man, you are missing out. Get a bottle of Andrea's sauce, and of course, if you ever get a chance, go to Andrea's Restaurant in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois, andreas.com.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Prices are going up in 2025 on HVAC equipment. Save now with 2024 pricing on a new system today. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com/new.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
I don't want to get into too much detail, but there's someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what, let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her.
I got note of it. Won't let it go. We'll look into it. And if he's knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien, that's a violation of Title 8 United States Code 1324. I would seek prosecution, or the Secretary would seek prosecution. So maybe he's bluffing. If he's not, we'll deal with that.
We the people of the United States.
More perfect.
Your form of our perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans, thanks for joining the Annie Fry Show. She is without a voice today, so this is Ryan filling in. How are you?
I'm Ron. I'm doing just fine, thanks.
Well, let's talk about the news from yesterday. That could be anything. There's so many news items. But this is about Pam Bondi using her first day in office to ban federal funds from going to sanctuary cities. My first impression when I saw that is I didn't know she could do that.
Well, what she's talking about are Justice Department grants. The Congress, talk about a bloated budget. The Department of Justice, in addition to the money it gets for doing actual legal work, prosecuting criminals, gets a huge amount of money that it is supposed to give out in grants. And so cities, towns, states all over the country apply to the Justice Department for these grants, which are supposed to be related to improving the justice system in that city, town, or state. And so what she's saying is that grant program, which, like I said, is a huge pot of money, will not anyone who's got a sanctuary policy in place, they will not be considered for a grant.
Does Trump, Hans, have the power to either unilaterally remove those grants or decide how they're spent, just because he's the president, or does that need Congress too?
Well, those grant programs were set up by Congress, but they are given to the Justice Department, and it's the Justice Department that decides who to give them to. There's not enough money to give a grant to every single city, town, or state that applies for it. So they've got discretion in who they're going to give that money to. They might decide to give it to a sheriff's department in Texas, as opposed to a sheriff's department in Illinois. And what she's saying is, well, if you're a sheriff's department that has a sanctuary policy in place, we're not even going to consider you for this money.
So we've heard a lot of, governors and mayors making some noise. Now, I'm surprised that it's not more of them. But we have heard the ones that are making noise, of course, saying, no, we're not going to comply. I played that clip coming into the segment with you here of New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy saying he's actually sheltering illegal immigrants himself, like at his house. Can the feds, Hans, criminally prosecute these people? And if so, what does that look like?
The answer to that is yes. And you'll notice, I think the governor's people realized that he had made a big error, because I think the next day his press spokesman said, oh, well, he's not actually sheltering an alien who's here illegally. Yeah, there's a federal statute Tom Holman actually mentioned. It's called it's 8 U.S.C. 1324. And what 1324 does is it makes a criminal violation to do a whole series of things. If you try to transport or move an illegal alien in the U.S., you violated the law. If you conceal, harbor, or shield from detection an illegal alien, that's a criminal act. If you induce and try to convince an alien to come into the country illegally, you are violating the law. And the fact that you are a state or local official, that doesn't give you immunity from this at all. The feds can criminally prosecute you whether you're a private individual doing that or whether you're the governor of a state. Being the governor doesn't somehow prevent you from being prosecuted for violating the statute. And listen, I mean, you can be the punishments are anywhere from 5 years in prison to 20 years in prison, depending on what you're doing.
Hans von Spakovsky is the senior legal fellow at Heritage Foundation. We know the Trump administration is bold. I think we've all, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, you could agree to that fact. But do you expect that they are actually going to use these statutes in that way? You know, I saw a report today I'm looking at right now that says Trump DOJ slaps Illinois and Chicago with a lawsuit over sanctuary laws. Do you think they'll more try to play this out in court, or will they actually go and, you know, will we see arrests of local city officials?
Well, I'll give an example from the first Trump administration. During the first Trump administration, there was an incident in Massachusetts involving a state court judge there who had an illegal alien in her courtroom. He'd been arrested on a local charge. The feds found out about it. They actually sent ICE agents to the court to pick this guy up after he left the county courthouse. This judge, when she discovered this, ordered the ICE agents out of her courtroom, told her bailiff to help the illegal alien escape by going out the back door of her courtroom, and she was indicted by a federal grand jury.
Wow.
For obstruction of justice, obstructing immigration enforcement. So they actually went after a state court judge, and I don't doubt that this Justice Department is willing to go after folks at an even higher level if they interfere with federal immigration enforcement.
You know, Hans, this is a little bit broader question, but speaking of Pam Bondi now being the Attorney General for a total of a day, you know, she's coming out bold and making these announcements. What kind of can we see now that we have an Attorney General? You know, what can she do, whether it be in immigration or anything else that you're following, that you're going to be watching Pam Bondi to keep a close eye on what she's doing?
Oh man, there are so many aspects of federal immigration law that the Garland Justice Department was not enforcing. I'll give you one that I'm writing an article about right now, and that is 30 years ago, Congress passed a law that said that if a state provides in-state tuition to illegal aliens, they cannot charge out-of-state tuition to any American citizen. So that means if Illinois is providing in-state tuition to illegal aliens who are going to school there, if somebody from Texas or California or Missouri wants to go to the University of Illinois, they cannot be charged out-of-state tuition. Something like 24 states provide in-state tuition to illegal aliens. Every single one of those states is violating this federal law. You know why? The Justice Department has never enforced that law against any state. American kids are being cheated in about half the states in this country, and I hope Pam Bondi will do something about that.
Well, I'm glad you're writing an article about that. I mean, that's stuff that, there's so much happening that I like when you're able to, put your voice out there and say, hey, is anybody paying attention to this one? Because it sounds like that's something that's not enforced at a state level. That's a federally enforced statute.
That is exactly right. And as I'm sure you're aware, there was no way that the Biden or Obama administrations were going to enforce that. And I'm hopeful that the Trump administration will, because that is costing American parents a fortune. The average cost per year for a public college in the U.S. is about $11,000, but the out-of-state cost is more than twice that, about $25,000. So the fact that the federal government has not enforced this part of federal immigration law is costing Americans all over the country a huge chunk of money.
Hans von Spakovsky is with us every Thursday here on the Annie Frey Show, senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. I do want to ask you, while we have a little bit of time here, about all of these legal matters that are facing Elon Musk. This to me seems like something that is a little bit new. You don't usually see somebody this high profile being an advisor to the president and being able to go into these governmental agencies. And of course, Democrats are screaming bloody murder about it and trying to stop him through the courts. How does this fall legally? Is he able to do these things, or is it kind of gray area?
There is nothing illegal about what's going on. Look, Elon Musk hasn't been given any power to actually do anything. What he's been given the power to do is to make recommendations, suggestions, give advice to the president. The president then is the one who's actually ordering these agencies to do things that Musk has advised him to do. There's nothing illegal about that because Musk is not a federal government employee. He's got no executive power. He's simply giving advice to the president, which the president is following. There's nothing illegal about that. In fact, I'll give you a quick example. Remember Dwight D. Eisenhower? When he got elected, he actually brought in another rich guy named Nelson Rockefeller and put him in, told him, listen, I want recommendations on how to get rid of government waste. And Nelson Rockefeller was not a federal employee, and nobody claimed what he was doing was illegal. So it's not like this is something new either.
That's the exact question I was going to ask you. Is there historical preference or precedence for this happening? I didn't know you'd have that specific of an example.
Well, that's because I'm writing another article about that, too.
Of course you are. So, Hans, when people are talking about, well, he doesn't have security clearance and all these things, from what I read, yes, he does. The president is able to give him security clearance to do these things.
That is exactly right. That's the other thing everybody is missing. The ultimate decider on security clearances, on the release of government information, is the United States president. He can grant a security clearance to anybody. He can get rid of a security clearance to anybody, and he can't be questioned about it. So he can do whatever he wants in terms of providing Elon Musk with access to information, including classified documents, if he wanted to. Now, he hasn't done that I'm aware, but if he wanted to, he could.
So Elon Musk aside, Hans, let's say the president of the United States, Donald Trump, says, I want to get rid of this agency, whether that be USAID or whatever it is at the moment, the Department of Education. Can he just decide, yes, I'm going to get rid of that and do it by himself, or does he need Congress to do that?
Well, in a lot of instances, he's going to need Congress. It all depends on whether or not that agency was set up by a federal statute. There's all kinds of things he can do inside those agencies, like lay people off potentially, not hire new people. He may not be able to get rid of the agency itself, but he may be able to do a lot to suspend its activities and what it's doing. Even though to get rid of it in its entirety, Congress would probably have to do that.
You see, that's so interesting because that's kind of what I thought. But could he do something like, okay, this whole agency is 10,000 people, and I think it's all corrupt, and I don't like it, but they won't let me get rid of it. So I'm going to station all 10,000 of those people in an embassy in Bangladesh. You know, could he do something so bold as that?
In most instances, the answer to that is yes.
That's what I thought,
No,
but I mean,
listen. The key to the merit service protection rules, those strict rules for career employees, is that it may be very tough to fire people in many cases, but you can transfer them to another job, to a know-nothing job, as long as you keep their benefits and their pay the same.
So, well, we're going to be paying for it one way or another, so I guess it's a matter of how important that agency is.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well, Hans, we always appreciate talking to you, especially right now. Gosh, there's just so many different things to be covering. I don't know about you, but when I wake up, I'm looking at, okay, what's the news going to be at this moment? But then by the end of the day, what's the news going to be that's completely got my focus away from that thing?
In the first 3 weeks of his presidency, I think Trump has done more than any other president in our history.
And coming from you, that means a lot more than if I were to say that to my friend at the bar. So now I can quote you saying that. Hans, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Sure thing. All right. Bye-bye.
I think that's the quote for the hour right there for the podcast. Whoever's doing the podcast today, he has done more in 3 weeks than anybody in history. And so saith the legal mind of Hans von Spakovsky. This is Ryan Wiggins. Annie, if you're just tuning in, she still just doesn't have a voice. And we kind of fashioned the YouTube live chat poll around that today. Have you been sick in 2025? And if so, let us know. Lots of people leaving comments. And so many of you were saying no, you're healthy. That's good. It's just surprising to me that more people aren't going, yeah, man, I've really had a rough go of it, because so many people are. So let us know. That's the YouTube live chat poll. We will be right back with Ethan doing Wiggins America. And get this, we're going to let him talk some sports, because there happens to be a big enough sporting event coming up that we have to have a little leeway. So we're going to talk some Super Bowl coming up.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
The colder weather is a great excuse to practice your Second Amendment skills inside at the Range St. Louis West. Mark Cox here from my friends at the Range, 14803 Manchester Road out in Baldwin. I told you they have the best training in town. February 19th, the Range is co-hosting a women's self-defense workshop at the West County Gracie Barra location. You can get the details on all these events and how to sign up on their website. It's therangestl.com, or follow them on Facebook.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, have you been sick in 2025? Annie's sick, and we want to know, have you been sick? We got 4 options here for you. Yes, cold symptoms. Yes, stomach issues. Yes, both. Or no, I haven't been sick. Jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFry, F-R-E-Y. Vote in the poll, leave us a comment, and if you leave us a really good comment, we'll probably read it on the air. The time is 12:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
97.1 is excited to welcome Brian Kilmeade back to St. Louis.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. I have great news. I'm going to be joining all of you in St. Louis.
Be a part of this event.
March 22nd, St. Louis. You're going to love it.
Get tickets at briankilmeade.com.
Please don't stop the music. Please don't stop the music.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
I look up, listen to that promo. Brian Kilmeade's actually on TV right now. So, I mean, surprise, surprise. Brian Kilmeade, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's on TV. He's on TV like 12 hours a day, and the radio, the other 12. But he is coming to town, and we haven't mentioned that a whole lot other than through those promos. He's going to be at the Factory on March 22nd, and you can get tickets to that event, although I understand that there are more tickets than usual. If you've been to a Brian Kilmeade event with us in the past, normally they're pretty limited seating.
Yeah.
And they go like 2
Very
days,
fast.
you know. This one, we knew that, and they knew that. And so they're coming to a bigger venue in the Factory.
Yeah, I believe this is the biggest venue they've had since they've come and visited us.
But it's a little bit different style than he has done in the past, too, because he was doing mostly book tours. And I'm sure he'll have his books there.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit more of a, I don't know if it's a panel, but it's like there's some comedian kind of stuff going on, and he's part of it. And it's a little bit more of a show.
Yeah.
And then he's, of course, going to speak, and he's very inspirational when he does. He's good at it, obviously. But that's March 22nd. You can get tickets at 971talk.com/events.
They also announced last night during Jimmy Fallon's show that he would be moving to Sunday nights, and that on Saturdays taking his spot on, I forget whichever show that is that he does on Saturday nights on Fox
He
TV.
being Jimmy Fallon?
No, I'm sorry. Brian Kilmeade. He was talking
Okay.
about Kilmeade. Taking Kilmeade spots on Saturday nights is going to be Lara Trump. So that's going to be added to the Fox TV lineup.
Kilmeade did Saturdays too?
Oh, Kilmeade does so much.
He's the hardest working man in media.
Well, I knew that, but I don't know that I realized he was
He
weekends.
did Fox and Friends, and then he did One Nation
One
with
Nation,
Brian Kilmeade,
yeah.
and then he was the host of the Brian Kilmeade Show on Fox Radio. So he did he did TV on the weekends as well. And now he's moving that show to Sunday nights, I guess, and taking his spot on Saturday nights is going to be Lara Trump.
Okay. No, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks. Well, if you want to come see him in person, which is pretty cool, he's actually one of the, he always says on his show, the most approachable talk show host in America. He actually is. When you meet him, he'll just sit there and
doesn't
talk
make you
with
like kiss his feet or anything like that?
No,
Nothing
and
like
which is weird because like I always thought that if I got to that level, I would be the most unapproachable person I could possibly be. Not because I am that way, but because I thought that I should be.
Maybe you should make a promo, or I guess a sounder for Wiggins America, that it's like the most unapproachable talk show host in America.
Ooh, I like that. But how about this sounder?
Wiggins!
Oh!
Wiggins! Yeah, that's right.
Nice!
That's
radio
the
stuff!
The most professional fill-in host in America.
Me, Ethan
Yeah,
Hanford,
it's you.
host of Wiggins America, because that makes total sense. Guys, there's a big game coming up here this weekend.
It's the big game.
Have we heard about it at all?
I actually want to write a sketch, but at this point when I write sketches, I'm like, what am I writing this for? Who's doing this? Like, where's this
write
going?
a sketch.
I wanted to write one recently that was a bunch of people like in a living room, and they're getting ready to watch the big game, and they're like, "Oh man, you got the chicken wings? Oh yeah, cool. Let's sit down and have some wings. Watch the big game." And one person keeps going, "Why do you keep calling it the big game instead of the Super Bowl?" And they're like, "Well, you can't advertise products and say Super Bowl." And they're like, "But we're in your living room." And they're like, they keep asking like, "But we're not on TV," and like the person talking about the chicken wings keeps sort of glancing at the camera.
Yeah,
and nobody else knows it's happening.
Doing the gym.
That sounds like it would actually be like successful.
Thank
like
you.
a good
Yeah.
one.
Thank
and it has
you.
to have a ton of product placement.
Oh,
in it.
tons of pot products. Yeah. That's how we make our money, Brad.
I'm super excited for Super Bowl commercials this year, and a couple of days ago, Uber Eats released what is going to be their Super Bowl commercial, and they've kind of been building. Matthew McConaughey's been their main guy for a lot of their recent commercials, and they've been kind of building on this commercial series, like where like football is trying to promote like food, and they're calling it Food Ball. And this commercial is 1 minute and 40 seconds long, and it is Matthew McConaughey like playing all these different important characters in football history that had something to do with food, and it is brilliant. It is hilarious.
I heard you guys talking about this on Reardon yesterday.
If this is not the best commercial that airs on Sunday, then it is a win for America because it means something beat that.
Great.
Because this commercial is that good.
The Super Bowl commercials in general, I know people dog on like, they're not as good as they used to be and all that stuff, but they are a marketing machine.
Totally.
I mean, if you're going to spend $7 million on an ad, you might as well get some huge celebrity in it and then make a series of ads leading up to your ad like it's a TV show, which is what they do. But it works. And if you're going to spend that much, you might as well go for it.
100%. Bud Light has one with Post Malone and Shane Gillis coming out as well that they've kind of previewed a little bit. So that one will be a fun one. But I'm really excited for the commercials. And speaking of just the Super Bowl in general, I thought, what better way than to go through some of the fun, some of these exciting prop bets that tend to go on around this time of year, both specific to the Super Bowl, but also just everything that goes on with it, whether it be the halftime show, the commercials. There's a lot of different aspects of the Super Bowl that people like to bet on, and I figured why not have a little bit of friendly competition.
So prop bets are things that are associated with the broadcast or the game, but don't have direct. They don't have anything to do with the competition in the game.
Well, they can. There are still parts of prop sheets that can be involved with the game, like who's going to score the first touchdown? Is it going to be a running or passing touchdown? There are those, but basically what it is it is a large number, and the goal is to get as many correct as possible. And a lot of times you'll see like friend groups or like fundraisers where they will, you put in $10 to fill out the prop sheet. Whoever wins gets half of it or whatever, something like that, and then you fill out the sheet. It's meant to be just a fun thing. So I figured, why not go through a couple of these? We could go through a few of them on air, but I say like we fill out the ones that we don't get
to how we do
off air. Let's see how we do. Obviously, as you mentioned, Annie is sick.
Is there a way that we could get a digital copy of this and perhaps put it out on our socials?
We
listeners
probably could do that. I bet we probably could.
Yeah, let's see if we can find that, and I'll push that out and see if Annie can't get it.
Especially if there's a digital version like Fantasy where it just kind of keeps track for you.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, that might be able to work. We may be able to do something like that. But I was gonna say also, Annie not here. Hopefully she's back tomorrow.
Right.
And we can have her fill this out as well, so she's not left out.
I've never done this before. I'm looking at some of these questions, and it's pretty interesting. How long will it take John Batiste? Is that right?
Batiste. Yep.
To sing the Star Spangled Banner, over 120 seconds or under 120
So have you never heard about this? Is a pretty popular one.
Yeah. Well, I've heard some of these, but I didn't know that. So can you bet on these individually and as a whole?
Yes, depending on the website. I'm sure some of them have different ones, but it is a very popular thing specifically for that one to bet on the over-under for the length of the national anthem. It tends to be right around 2 minutes, but then you have to look at the singer. Do they tend to drag out the lyrics a little bit? And it ends up being a very popular thing to bet on. So that is one of them. How long will it take for John Batiste to sing? Actually, that's the first one. Do we want to comment on a couple of the notable ones on air, or do we just want to talk about some of the popular ones?
Let's look at the notable ones.
Okay.
One of these here is number 5, where it says, "Will Swift," meaning Taylor Swift, before the final whistle. Be shown before the final whistle wearing clothing or accessories bearing Travis Kelce's name, number, likeness, or image.
It seems like these would be like that one in particular.
Seems like an easy yes.
Well, it seems like if you were that person or close to Taylor Swift. Let's say you're going to be around Taylor Swift and you're not super rich, but you're friends with her. You could be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a $3 million bet on yes. And then here Taylor, wear the you could manipulate these bets so much. Whereas if it's a competition, you have somebody pressing back against you to stop you from making a touchdown.
Another one involving Taylor Swift asks, and this is number 3, will Taylor Swift be shown on the Fox broadcast during the national anthem? And I have an extra little tidbit here that says she was not shown during last year's national anthem broadcast on CBS. So, I think the obvious, you think about this, you're like, oh, Taylor Swift, she's the biggest pop star in America. That wouldn't be a surprising thing for them to flash her up on the screen real quick.
She's
but they
part of the
last
conversation
year.
At this point. I'm surprised they didn't do that last year.
Yeah.
You almost would have to do that.
Well, you would almost have to, but the one thing you don't want to do is flash it up there if she's distracted by something or something like that made her look like she's not paying attention during the national anthem. Then you would
just during the national anthem is what you're saying.
Yes.
I missed that part. Okay.
I wonder if they just have a camera on her at all times, just following her.
There's
at all
somebody
times.
whose job that is, especially at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
You would think so. Another one, what will the coin flip result be? Interesting tidbit that I have about this one is Heads has won 3 of the last 4, and across history, it has won 28 times, and Tails has won 30.
Speaking of marketing machines, man, the Super Bowl itself is one.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they do, I don't know if you knew this, but the reason they do 2 weeks in between the last game and the Super Bowl now is originally it was to push it into sweeps. Because February was a sweeps month and January wasn't. So if you get the Super Bowl in the sweeps month, it pumps up everybody's ratings a lot. Who's carrying
Interesting.
it?
I thought it was just because the Pro Bowl was the week before. They just had that.
Well, now
It used to be that way.
Oh.
But now they do it. I mean, sweeps don't mean as much as they used to now with TV and ratings because you get them so instantly. But now they do it because you get 2 weeks of people talking about it, just like we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's fair. A couple of other ones as far as commercials go. Which iconic New Orleans jazz musician will be given a nod on the broadcast first during the game? This includes Harry Connick Jr., Louis Armstrong, Dr. John as well. Annie Marsalis, I believe is how you say that last one there. Which DC or Marvel movie trailer will appear first during the Super Bowl? Superman, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, or the Fantastic Four First Steps? Feel free to throw out if there's any interesting ones to you guys on this list. Feel free to
What is
throw
a
them out.
tush push?
The tush push, yes. So this is a great question. So the tush push was made famous by the Philadelphia Eagles. It is basically, in football, you know what a quarterback sneak is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically what they do is they snap the ball, and it's a quarterback sneak, but
Oh, I think I know.
the running back, a running back, and usually there's 2 players in the backfield, push on the butt of the quarterback.
Gotcha.
To propel him forward. And this became really popular a couple years ago because the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is so good that they would do this so often that it was like almost an unstoppable play.
What if, so number 121 is, will there be a tush push? What if touchdown scored? What if that happens in the locker room? And it's not shown. Like, could you prove it and say, no, it actually did happen? And then you get your bet.
And okay, I'm gonna finish with the most popular prop bet question, no doubt, in the history of prop bets. What color of Gatorade will be poured on the winning coach?
It's tough.
Green, yellow, lime, orange, blue, purple, clear, red, pink.
Wait, if you choose green, yellow, lime, you get all that in one?
They're saying that's kind of like the same.
All the same.
It's all the same. But this is a really well tracked one. They keep track of year by year which one it is, and there's numbers on all kinds of which one's been drawn. That's definitely the most popular one.
Wow.
We'll have to fill this out later.
All right, stick around. More to come.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings feel like $1 million? Or $1 million feel like $2 million? The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class, Retirement Planning 101. Guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. free. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. If, like me, you haven't quite had the pedal to the metal the way you should, or if you've had the pedal to the metal the entire time, either way, give us a call. We can help you out. We'll take you wherever you are. 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The federal workforce gets more time. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A judge is temporarily blocking President Trump's buyout plan for federal workers to resign and extending tonight's original deadline to at least Monday after the judge holds a hearing. Several government employee unions sued over the program. More than 40,000 workers have accepted the buyout offer. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt not confirming reports of mass layoffs being planned if there aren't enough resignations. This, as the Elon Musk-led effort to cut government waste, remains under fire from Democrats, calling Musk's access to Treasury records a power grab.
Why does he need that information? What are they doing with it? And why aren't House Republicans stopping them?
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, White House spokeswoman Leavitt telling Fox News, trying to cut government waste is common sense.
So the Democrats can hoot and holler all they want. This White House will stay committed to delivering on President Trump's priorities and being good stewards of the hardworking American people's tax dollars.
Earlier, a federal judge putting new limits on Doge team access to Treasury payments with a temporary restraining order. Senate Democrats are delaying a vote on Kash Patel to be FBI director, postponing a Judiciary Committee decision for a week.
Democrats like Dick Durbin of Illinois have concerns Patel could use the office to target President Trump's political opponents, citing a book written by Patel in 2023.
It is a book that is filled with grievances, filled with conspiracy theories, and filled with information of how he sided with the January 6 rioters.
Durbin says the voting committee will happen next week. Then Republican leadership can schedule a floor vote if he's approved.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, Patel pledging to follow the law in his confirmation hearing. America is listening to Fox News.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our temperatures going through Thursday afternoon, holding in the 40s. We should peak out at about 48, a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a chance of a spot shower. Tonight, clear and cold, 31. Friday, partly sunny, 42. Here comes the next batch of rain after midnight Friday night. That continues until about noontime on Saturday. Saturday, 59 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny, 38. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. Submit your favorite fish fry at 971talk.com/events. We're taking the show on the road every Friday during Lent, and we're looking for suggestions. It's Fish Fry Fridays on The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
You know, it's not just the waste. I thought going into this administration that we were going to see a slick, lean, mean machine coming at government spending and cutting things down to the bone because that's what it needs. This is that.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing that. I can't believe how much crap we were propping up.
There's a lot of fat on the bone right now. And
I think that's what I'm saying is that it's the fat on the bone I was expecting. I thought they were going to cut fat.
Yeah, but like this stuff is like that visceral brown fat, the very nastiness of the stuff.
But it's the ideological push.
Yeah.
That they were making sure that so half of America would be against this.
Right.
That means we're going to push it really hard.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff they were doing. And the laundering of money, you know, we talked about the Politico money, the money that looks like it was moved through the government to prop up certain journalist websites, you know, certain news outlets and things. That stuff is what's surprising to me because while it's not quite technically illegal the way they did it, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and the fact that they're using and leveraging the government to push their political agenda and then trying to entrench it in a way that they would maintain control. That's what I don't like about it. I mean, after all the talk of the peaceful transfer of power, and then they've got this nonsense underlying all of it, that's ridiculous.
Right. And so I figure if we're going to talk about Doge, we should probably do it properly.
Doge,
The Department of Governmental Efficiency.
See, now it feels proper.
Now we're ready.
Now
to
we
go.
can have a very normal segment
Right.
about Doge. So one of the things I've been looking into as your fill-in host today, Annie, is still without a voice, and so we'll hope for tomorrow. But one of the things I've been looking into is all of these different stories and claims and accusations of things that Doge, well, I shouldn't say Doge, that USAID or the government in general was spending and wasting your money on. And I played that clip from Carolyn Levitt talking about some of the most egregious abuses, but excuse me, if you look up something like, and this was hitting yesterday just because it's so goofy, Sesame Street in Iraq. Do we need to be spending money on Sesame Street in Iraq?
No. We don't need to be doing that. I don't like that sort of thing. Seems like outside of the purview of USAID.
Yeah, so that's real. And guess how much we were spending on this TV show in Iraq, which is honestly, like, from a guy who's done TV shows, we talked about doing a puppet. We had a relation. My company had a relationship with PBS. We had a show that ran for 2 years on PBS. And so we knew that, oh, these kind of shows do well, these kind of don't. And a little behind the scenes, PBS's prime time is not 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Back when TV was even a thing. Like, I don't even know if that's still prime time anymore. But PBS's prime time was daytime because they had kids. They had big kids programming, Sesame Street and all that stuff. Well, Sesame Street hasn't been on PBS for a number of years. I think it's been almost 10 years now. So if you're not paying it close attention, that show's not even actually on there. In fact, it was owned in part or contracted with HBO for the last several years. And it's been a huge drain on HBO. They're not making any money on it. And in fact, Sesame Street looks like it may get canceled soon because it doesn't have a home. Which, you know, that stinks. Sesame Street was a part of my childhood, but at the same time, I'm like, were you preaching good values or were you preaching these kind of USAID values?
Right.
And they were doing this in places like Iraq. And I watched a little bit of that show just to see, like, does it look good? It did look good for a puppet show, but it's a puppet show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's somebody sticking their hand in a puppet and talking in front of a green screen with a little, you know, like a news graphic next to him. Like, there was nothing to it. And it's like, that was $20 million. And why are we even spending these things? So there's a lot of that stuff. And that, to me, is the fat that we're talking about. Like, was there a use for that? Maybe. But I don't really trust that you're not preaching your stupid values in it.
Right.
And so I don't already think we should be doing it, but I also think it's kind of a waste even if it was good. But then there's this other stuff, like I said in the first segment, that I've been looking into to make sure that it's real. Right now, it looks like the Politico $8 million is real. And the reason I want to highlight that again is because if you look up this story, Politico payments, on, well, whatever website you want, but you're going to see New York Times. You're going to see some of the big ones. New York Times headline is Trump amplifies conspiracy theory over payments to Politico. Politico itself has come out and said that, yes, we were receiving government money, but they were subscriptions, not payoffs. So if your news agency is going to get so split hair over the word payments/payoffs to the point that they're going to deceive you with a headline, they're a worthless news organization.
Right.
And you know what else it makes me think? Maybe they're on the dole because they're probably protecting
They come
themselves.
out there, they say something like that, and that makes Elon Musk go, let's look more.
Exactly. So Trump amplifies conspiracy theory over payments to Politico, says New York Times. And then Washington Times says Politico says millions in government payments were subscriptions, not payoffs. So it was really happening, is my point.
Yeah.
And then you see reports, and I haven't verified these, and that's why I'm just reporting on the report, that Reuters was on the dole too. And that's one that I'll be looking into as soon as I can. But I wanted to make sure I verified that Politico one because it was kind of getting the headlines. Now, here's a couple others that I thought you might be interested to know whether they were real or false. The first one is the condoms to Gaza.
Yeah, I feel like that one isn't 100% accurate, that it was more like that was part of a larger group.
you pretty much got it. It's a mess. That claim is sort of true, sort of not, because what I've found, and again, I'm digging through a lot of mainstream media stuff to find this, which means in about paragraph 10 in some of them, you might get some information. You just read right past the headline because that's all spin. But what I'm finding with the condoms to Gaza, $50 million, is that it's one of two things, or maybe even both things. That the $50 million that was going to condoms, probably it was that some of that was going to Gaza, but not all $50 million. So cutting off just the Gaza condoms wouldn't be totaling $50 million. However, there was also a line of script that other independent journalists who've been looking into this stuff, which is great because that's where we have to be now. They said, well, there is a huge payment that's close to $50 million that was given to a place called Gaza, but it looks like that Gaza is in Africa. So it's possible that they were mixing up a little bit of the stories. Now,
like a Providence or...
Yeah, like we know that there's a lot of aid given to Africa.
Right.
And that there's a lot of AIDS treatments. This was something done a lot by George W. Bush. And so condoms were probably a part of that. And so if they were funneling this money in aid to a place called Gaza in Africa, that could be very confusing if you look at it and it says Gaza and you see $50 million. Okay. So there's kind of a mixed bag there where it's kind of true. But I point that out because I really think that has been in the first week and a half here. You know, Caroline Leavitt gave her first press conference, I think, less than a week ago. So she hasn't been doing this for very long. There's a lesson to be learned there that once they report these things, they've got to be true because you're going to get chewed up and spit out if it's not 100% true. And if you're going after fraud, you have to be on the ball. When you say $8 million went to Politico, it better be $8 million. Otherwise, every news outlet is going to write conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it was only $7.9 million.
Exactly, right. And that's what I'm saying is they've got to be real careful in this time because they're going to be heavily scrutinized for scrutinizing because everybody and their brother who's on the public dole is going to be coming after them, and that includes these news outlets. I think it's actually going to be smart of them to come out and publicize the fake ones. So when you hear a fake one like this, I'll read the headline. Ben Stiller claps back at lies coming from Russian media that USAID funded his humanitarian trip to Ukraine. Have you seen this one?
I haven't seen this one.
So there's a big hubbub going around yesterday on the interwebs that all these celebrities that went to Ukraine were actually paid by USAID to go do that. And that would have been a wasteful thing to do. But when you look into it, and this was Sean Penn was paid $4 million. Ben Stiller was paid $4 million. Sean Penn was paid $5 million. Angelina Jolie was paid $20 million. Well, that's the claim.
Right.
Now, when you look into this, there's no Sean Penn and Angelina Jolie, as far as I know, haven't come out and said anything about it. But Ben Stiller has. And Ben Stiller said, this is verifiably false. I am making a public statement saying I never received a single dollar from the U.S. government going toward me or anything for this trip. In fact, I funded it myself because blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, that's a pretty bold thing to say. We see people do this a lot where they'll go, I did not receive a single dollar, but my organization received $4 million, but I'm not going to say that.
Like Oprah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And all the money that the Harris campaign was funding to these celebrities, it'd be like, well, I didn't really receive
it didn't go to
anything.
me. It went to my production studio.
Right, exactly. So I thought, well, maybe he's doing that. But the more I look into this story, the more it actually does look like it might be Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Russia does that.
Exactly.
If something seems a bit outlandish, pump your brakes on it a little bit. It might be Russian propaganda. That's their bag. They love doing that stuff.
They're known to do this. And so this is a great target for them in the midst of all of this talk about all this waste and maybe we could get some people on our side in this thing. Because a video, this all traces back, it looks like, to a video that was released that was not an actual news organization called like E! News or something like that.
Yeah.
But that somebody took some stock footage of these celebrities, slapped E! News on it, and then put it out with this story. so it looked real, and it looked like it was from a real news source. Well, E-News came out and goes, well, that ain't us.
Yeah.
So real quick you go, well, somebody probably
Right.
doctored that thing, and they can't actually find that money.
Yeah, and the thing to remember about Russia isn't on the left and Russia isn't on the right side. They are on the side of sowing chaos. So if they can get you guys all stirred up and fighting one another, that's a W for them.
And that's what this looks like. So when he says that's lies coming from Russian media, he may be right that he didn't take any USAID funding. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I think it would be a good exercise for Carolyn Leavitt or whoever in the White House, press somebody, to come out once a day. I was going to say once a week, but it's more like once a day because things happen so fast, and say, here's what we're finding. Here's the Doge cuts that we're looking at right now, because it's not that Elon Musk is going to find something and just cut it instantly. He's got to take it. He's got to take it to the president. He's got to do this process. So during that process, they should take it to the public and say, this is what we're finding. This is how we know it's true, because they're going to be people are in the media are going to say, well, we don't believe you over and over, even though they would take hook, line, and sinker anything the Biden administration said.
Yeah, I would just, I like what you're saying there, but I think the idea there is to get ahead of any fake stories and to make sure that the reporting that you do have is buttoned up and tight so that the media can't, those that don't believe you, the ones that aren't friendly or whatever, very oppositional, doesn't spin it in a way like we mentioned earlier in the show where the New York Times said it was a conspiracy theory.
Come out, tell us what you found, tell us how you found it, tell us exactly where anybody could go find it, because a lot of the stuff they're making public.
Yeah.
But then also say these are things that are floating around out there that are not true, or at least they didn't come from us.
It almost seems like you could assign somebody within the White House press secretary's office where this is their job to give these updates, the official Doge updates.
And that would be a great job, because you people are watching this so closely right now, because it is going to change fundamentally the way our entire government and in some ways our society operates if they start pulling all this money, which they're trying to do, away from these random NGOs that were being propped up and pushing crazy leftist causes, and even some that aren't crazy, but they're leftist causes. None of the things that were being promoted through the government were right-wing in nature at all. Some of them, the best ones, may have been middle. But you ain't going to find anybody that was in the media that was getting government dollars like American Greatness or Breitbart or anybody like that. Alex Jones was not getting any government dollars. Every single one of these dollars you're going to find that was going to media through these quote-unquote subscriptions, I guarantee you it's going to be leftist media. So this is a big sea change that's happening, and we're going to be following just because I'm having a blast following this. I love watching this stuff. It is 1:22 here in the Midwest in St. Louis. You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. We've got Bob Onder, Representative Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District, coming up next. We have a lot to discuss with him being there in Congress.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Estella's Pharma.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma. where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
At the Williams residence, everything looked kind of the same from the outside. But inside, their lives just got way happier. 3 years of inflation and debt had crushed them. But for the first time, they had the cash to secure their retirement, pay off bills, and plan their future. They didn't win the lottery exactly. They did a genius financial strategy called the Sell and Stay program from Truehold. It's easy. Their home's value had rebounded greatly, so they quickly sold it to Truehold and banked all that equity in cash. But since they weren't ready to move, they could stay put with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold even paid their property taxes, home insurance, and essential home repairs. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a Truehold offer now while your home's value is high. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you have a furnace that needs service, a heat pump that needs repairs, or a boiler that needs to be replaced, contact Air Comfort Service. They offer 24/7 emergency heating service too. AirComfortService.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Thursday afternoon, the Doge hysterics continue, and at 3:25, Michelle Tafoya to react to President Trump's executive order on women's sports.
The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry, and we have joining us now Representative Bob Onder, Congressman from Missouri's 3rd District. Representative Onder, thanks for joining us. Have these first couple weeks in Congress been fast enough for you?
Well, yeah, it's great to be back. Yes, we have really hit the ground running. I was only sworn in on January 3rd, and we've passed a number of important bills. We've seen President Trump get inaugurated, and of course, we've seen almost 60 executive orders taking back our country and turning around the disastrous policies of the Biden administration. So yeah, we're moving fast, and it's exciting.
Well, set us up here. You were supposed to give a speech today before Congress. What were you talking about, and how did it go?
Well, actually, it is this evening.
Oh, it's tonight. Okay.
But it's on a topic that I've spoken on many, many times before, which is illegal immigration. Actually, several other freshman Republicans and myself are going to be talking about the various topics pertaining to illegal immigration, including the Lake and Riley Act. That was the law we passed and that Donald Trump signed into law last Wednesday, which lists the mandatory deportation, the crimes for which illegal aliens would be automatically detained and deported, and would also give states the right to sue federal officials who are not doing their job in enforcing our immigration laws. And we'll be talking about a tragedy that occurred in my district where an illegal alien assaulted 2 young women. He is a visa overstayer, and I have a bill that I'm working on to crack down on that problem. But of course, we need to really support Donald Trump as he builds the wall, as he enforces the border, and as he identifies and deports those people who are here illegally.
Representative Onder, I've always been curious, when you are going to Congress for the first time, I'm sure you go through a lot of initiation, just kind of figuring out how things run, having not been there and so forth. But then do they kind of ask you if you can specialize in something? Like in your case, you're talking about immigration. Do they say, Bob, you're really good at talking about immigration. You really know a lot about this. Or is it more that you just have to know a lot about everything?
Well, there's no question. You do need to know a lot about everything. And certainly I spend a lot of time studying issues that I'm less familiar with because I spent 10 years in state government, 2 in the Missouri House and 8 in the Missouri Senate. So I became really expert in a number of areas, including immigration. Back in the Missouri House, I passed the strongest state law in the country to fight illegal immigration. But yeah, you do. I think you do that specialization in part by what committees you request and get assigned to. So I am on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where immigration is a big focus, where the weaponization of government and censorship by government of free speech are major issues that committee addresses. I am on the Education and Workforce Committee. I worked a lot on education issues, labor issues back in Missouri. And then transportation and infrastructure is my other committee, something that's extremely important to my district, having as it does Highway 70, having the 2 major rivers of our continent flowing through it. People do specialize. Many times military people and veterans will, end up on the Veterans Affairs Committees. So, yeah, it's a combination of, leadership trying to fit people where they can most contribute to the caucus and, of course, the interests of the individual congressman.
Yeah. It seems like ages ago now, but it was just Sunday and Monday that we were supposed to be in a trade war. And the president obviously was playing a strong hand. He threatened tariffs, and he got out of it, apparently more soldiers at our southern border on the Mexico side, and more participation from Canada to stop fentanyl. Do you think that these 2 countries are going to hold their end of that bargain?
Oh, I think they probably will. Yeah, I think they probably will because by and large, the countries that Donald Trump induced concessions from back in his first term, they, by and large did help us in enforcing immigration law, including remain in Mexico, including securing the southern border. I get asked about that a lot. What do you think about the trade war with Canada and Mexico? Leading up to the decision by those 2 countries. And I said, well, I don't think we will have a trade war. I think Donald Trump knows what he's doing. I think he's the master of the deal, and that they will come to their senses. Look at Colombia. They turned back an American plane with criminal illegal aliens from Colombia. They turned back a plane. I think Donald Trump was on the 3rd hole of his golf course when they turned back the plane, and by the time he got to the 8th course, they had backed down and decided to take back their criminals that they had dumped on our country. So I think Donald Trump knows what he's doing. I'm very happy to see how those things are going.
Representative Bob Onder on the phone with us, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. I see that you are associated with the Halt Fentanyl Act. How does that complement or play into what we were just talking about, where President Trump is getting our northern and southern friends to participate more in the stop of the flow of fentanyl?
Right. In addition to the threat to our safety and our security and the rule of law, posed by the illegal immigration invasion, we have this horrible situation where in the last year, 100,000 Americans have been poisoned by fentanyl that has come from Mexican drug cartels, made with Chinese precursor chemicals. So fentanyl has been a problem for a long time. In fact, I worked on a bill similar to the Halt Fentanyl Act back when I was in the Missouri Senate, I believe almost 5 years ago. But the problem's gotten exponentially worse under Joe Biden. And what the Fentanyl Act does is classifies substances related to fentanyl as also dangerous controlled substances, Schedule I substances, and punishes them the same way that fentanyl traffickers would be punished. The problem we have is these Mexican drug cartels employ chemists who are very clever, and they can just tweak the fentanyl molecule a little bit. We don't want all of a sudden this equally dangerous chemical to be legal just because some creative chemist tweaked the molecule a little bit. So we passed a similar law when I was in Missouri in 2000, about 5 years ago. Along with it is a mandatory 10-year prison term for traffickers in fentanyl and fentanyl analogs. Now, that is for people trafficking 100 grams or more, which actually might not sound like a lot to your listeners, but keep in mind that 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal dose. The equivalent of just a few grains of salt on your fingertip can kill someone. So that 100 grams could kill 50,000 Americans if it got distributed and consumed. So the whole Fentanyl Act is a very important bill, and I think we will have that passed by the end of the week.
I would like to meet the person in the Annie Fry Show audience who hears you say 100 grams of fentanyl, goes, that's not much fentanyl. I've seen more fentanyl than that. I don't know that we cross into those people a whole lot.
Well, so yeah. So you think, you think of, a kilogram obviously is 2.2 pounds. So, we're talking about, less than a quarter pound. That might not sound like a lot, except that it's fentanyl, which is extremely, extremely dangerous. And as I said, can kill 50,000 Americans.
Representative Onder, before we move off of the topic of immigration, I'm just curious, what do you think is going to happen with this birthright citizenship stuff? It's going to make its way through the courts, but I've heard really good arguments that I was expecting to hear on the conservative side of the aisle, just based on where the law has been. I mean, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah. Well, the point is, honestly, the law never was that someone who just happens to be born in our country to an illegal alien is a citizen. It's just that's how the executive branch has been treating these cases. But the 14th Amendment said that anyone born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction there too. The point of the 14th Amendment was to make it clear that newly freed black slaves in the South were citizens so that Democrats in the South couldn't deprive them of their civil rights. It never was an alien, whether the son or daughter of a diplomat or an illegal alien, never was it decided by the Supreme Court or by Congress that such people who were evading the jurisdiction of the United States would automatically have citizen children and therefore be immune to deportation. That the first time that very bizarre concept came about was in a footnote in a Supreme Court decision back in 1984. So I think the idea that you are a citizen if you're born in the United States to an American citizen. Or you're a citizen of the United States if you're born to an American citizen living abroad. But those who are living in the shadows, evading our law, or who come here on so-called birth tourism, who sneak across the border or happen to have a child in the United States while they're on a tourist visa on vacation, that they are American citizens. That's never been the intent of the law. Almost no countries in the world, we are the only one of two Western countries that have such a silly standard for citizenship. I think the law will return to its original intent.
That's so interesting because of the way it's been interpreted. But you're right. I've never heard anybody until just the last few weeks talk about that little prepositional phrase, which is a big part of the whole lawsuit, which is subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Yeah. I mean, that change.
Yeah. It's not in the Constitution. No Congress never passed a law saying that, and the U.S. Supreme Court has never considered the issue. It's just how the Immigration and Naturalization Service, starting under Democrats, has treated that constitutional provision, and it's just wrong. And I think the U.S. Supreme Court will get it right, and our law will be what almost every other country on the planet that look, if you're breaking the immigration law, you're sneaking across the border, you're engaging in birth tourism, you don't automatically have a citizen child when that child's born on our soil.
Representative, before we run out of time with you, I figure we just briefly hit on the news from yesterday, President Trump signing the executive order, the Girls and Women in Sports Act. It's just amazing. Time travel with me back all the way, 5 or 10 years ago, and we'd be going, you have to sign an executive order that states that only girls can play girls' sports, but that's where we are.
Yeah, we have been living in this, Alice in Wonderland type crazy world where basically young men can cheat, they can pretend to be women, and then they can win national championships by saying they, quote, identify as women. I mean, let's face it, the most famous case, Will Thomas, a man, decided one day he was Leah Thomas, and magically he went from being ranked 462nd at his swimming event to ranked first in the country, beating out Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines and other young women like her are heroes for standing up for common sense, standing up for millions of American women and girls in restoring common sense. That look, changing your clothing or taking a couple months of hormones or all the gender ideology in the world doesn't make a man a woman or a woman a man. So, yeah, it is really almost surreal that we have to state this, but sometimes our obligation is to state the obvious, and we need to make our law reflect common sense. Representative Bob Onder, we appreciate your time, sir. Thank you. Representative Bob Onder from Congressional District number 3 in Missouri. It's one of those things that, Brad, I've thought before, and I tried. I thought, gosh, I'd go up against guys in bowling, and I'd just lose so badly. And I thought, what if I'm a girl? And so I said, I think I'm a girl in bowling. And so I declared, and I went up against the national female bowlers. And it turns out I'm actually just bad at bowling.
Still got your butt whipped.
They still got me. Oh, Annie, when are you coming back? She is voiceless. And by the way, our YouTube live chat poll today is, have you been sick in 2025? I actually can confidently say, not really. And Brad is the only other person I know who can say that as well.
Yeah, I haven't had anything really.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just a tiny little bit of something, but my whole family's gotten it. And I'm like, why have I don't know how I've avoided this, but so far so good, and we'll just keep hoping for the best. Yeah. Annie's got it. Her whole family's got it. Everybody's got it, whatever it is, because I think there's a whole bunch of different things going around, and that's actually part of the answers to the poll. Did you have stomach issues? Did you have cold symptoms? It's kind of a weird poll, but yes, I had both as an option, or no. Let us know. We'll give you the results of those at the end of the show. Actually, more interested in your comments on this one. A lot of people letting us know, because I just am interested to know if this actually is affecting everybody in St. Louis, or if it's just our perception because it's our families. Let us know. We'll be right back with maybe some movie recommendations. Stick around.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Fry Show.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-859-5500. 800-859-5500. Again, that's 800-859-5500.
Financial health is more than just really the investments. You have to look at tax consequences. You have to think about legacy planning or generational planning or your healthcare options. Those all go together with your financial health.
Join Matt Goolsby for Retire Hour to hear his team in finance, healthcare, estate, and taxes discuss changes in law, strategic planning, and answer listener questions. Submit your questions to be answered live on air at retirehour.com. Retire Hour, Sundays at 7 a.m., right here on KFTK.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you been sick in 2025? Yes, cold symptoms. Yes, stomach issues. Yes, both. Or no, I haven't been sick. We want to know your answer to that. And leave us a comment on Annie's YouTube page, and we might read that comment on the air. The time is 1:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Their parent gave everything for our nation, but when support fades, who stands with them? Join the Precious Legacy at Rhythm and Brews Fest on March 8th in St. Charles. Learn more at 971talk.com/talkinaction.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
All right, we got a few minutes here, so indulge me, friends, in a couple of movie recommendations. You're a movie guy, aren't you, Drew?
No.
You're not. You don't like movies. I thought you were way into, like, you send me podcasts and stuff all the time. I thought you were an entertainment junkie.
I'm an entertainment junkie, but I haven't watched like a ton of movies unless it's like really good.
Well, these are really good.
Okay.
So you have to watch them.
Okay.
These are really good movies?
I have 3 recommendations.
Why don't you care if I'm a movie junkie?
Because I already know you.
Well, am I?
And I know you are, but I also know that you probably haven't seen these.
I bet you I'm not as big a movie junkie as you think I am.
Well, you quote movies a lot.
I do.
So
I don't even have to see the movie to quote it.
What genre are you the most entertained by? Let's say you're going home and you're like, I just want to kick my feet up. What are you looking for?
One of two. There's not really a lot of separation. It's either a comedy or an explodey action movie.
Really?
Yes, I like those two.
I kind of would have guessed that, but that's not what I look for.
The easiest thing to kind of, because my brain is so engaged whenever I'm doing my job or whatever it is I'm involved in. I just want to flip it off, and I want to go laugh stupidly or go, oh, explosions.
do you do that? Like, do you watch stuff to tune out, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a problem to where when I go home, I'll watch YouTube and get like news from the day or just like around the world, which is probably not a good thing. But if it is movies, I'll go explodey action or psychological thriller.
Okay, so you like the thinking ones, though?
Yeah.
That's
definitely.
exactly. I look for thrillers. I really do, because I love comedies when they're good, but so many are so boring and bad that I don't even really look for them.
Like comedy movies?
Not comedy movies, comedy TV series. I mean, sitcoms are just sitcoms.
Yeah.
They don't really do anything for me.
So one of the things this is why thrillers don't do it for me are those psychological thrillers. I usually figure them out within the first 15, 20 minutes. And not only that, there's so many tropes in movies anymore that I can look at it and go, okay, that guy right there, this is going to happen to him. That person isn't going to make it to the end because that advances the plot. And I can kind of see where the movie's going before the movie gets there. And one of the fun games that I play is I'll lean over to my wife and be like, this is going to happen to that person. And then I'll keep watching the movie.
Yep.
And we'll get in there a little bit farther. It'll happen. And she always looks at me astonished.
Yeah.
But like if you kind of can figure out what's happening right away, that's boring.
Well, I got a thriller for you. Actually, I got a couple that kind of veer into thriller category. The first one is called The Menu, and it's on Netflix right now.
Okay,
this was made just within the last couple of years, and I'll tell you from memory, and also try to just pull these things up.
Is that Ralph Fiennes?
Ralph Fiennes is in it. He plays a chef, and it's about a couple. And it's about quite a few people. They all get on this little boat, and they go out to this island. And the island basically is a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently there really is something like this somewhere that rich people go to. And what?
I was just going to say, it's not Epstein's Island, is it?
No, and that's not that one. No, this is just about the food, and the characters in the movie I think they're all pretty wealthy, or at least they're presented that way. And they all go out to this island, and they pay $1,500 a pop to go have a dinner at this exclusive restaurant. Well, when they get there, they're like, it's a little weird. And like at the beginning, you're like, it's a little culty. Like all the chefs and all the cooks under Ralph Fiennes, you're like, these people seem like they're like way too obedient to the chef.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little weird. And so you're asking yourself, what's actually going on here? And the characters are trying to figure that out too.
Welcome to Hawthorne.
Here we are family. We harvest, we ferment, we gel.
They gel?
We gel.
He's not just a chef, he's a storyteller. The game is trying to guess what the overarching theme of the entire meal is going to be. You won't know till the end.
Who are you?
I am Margot. Why do you care?
I have to know if you're with us or with them. This is what you're paying for.
Get out of my way.
It's all part of the menu.
No, we're gonna die today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So you never really know, and I'm trying not to give away spoilers, but about halfway through there's a quote unquote murder, and you're like, is this part of the show? Like, is this part of the experience that they're creating for the guests? And at some point you have to decide, no, they aren't. They're actually murdering people, or are these people in on it too? Like it's a very, very psychological, but it's thriller in the sense that you don't know what's happening, but it's actually kind of funny at the same time. So really, I loved this movie. Highly recommend it. And now here's one that I've been telling Ethan he has to watch for a long time, and I don't really know why, because it is a comedy. But I think that this comedy, it's a Kristen Wiig movie. And the Menu is the first one. So if you're keeping track of these things, I'll try to say the names a few times so you don't forget. The second one is called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. And it's a comedy. It's about Kristen Wiig and her friend, who are two middle-aged women who are just they're just stupid. They're just dumb. They're entertained by everything, and they just can't believe everything. Like everything's the greatest thing that's ever happened. And they decided to go on a little vacation together to Vista Del Mar, which is like Europe, but it's in Florida. I mean, they're like, oh, it's like a foreign vacation, but they're just going to Florida near Tampa Bay.
Hi, Mickey. Mickey, you look amazing. You're great. Wow.
Miguel and I just got back from vacation. Girls, I might just pack up and move there.
What? Where did you go?
It's this tiny little oasis on the coast of Florida. It's people like us, midlifers, who still like to strut past the pool and stop the party dead in its tracks with a tube top and full jewelry. There are so many gorgeous men there. We're talking Tommy Bahama from head to toe.
Tommy Bahama. But what's the name of the place again?
Vista Del Mar.
So this movie is really weird and pretty dang funny. I was surprised. This is a major comedy made in 2021 that I think what happened was it got COVID lost. Because this is a big budget comedy. I think Will Ferrell's associated with it.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
Me too.
Same here.
I'm like, how did we miss this movie? And that was when, now Kristen Wiig, her stars faded a little bit because she's had a couple of duds. I think the Girl Ghostbusters movie really hurt her. But this was when she was like, make anything you want because you're Kristen Wiig, Bridesmaid time. And this movie was massive. You can tell they spent a ton of money on it, and nobody's seen it. And it's on Tubi and Roku. No, I'm sorry. That one is on Hulu right now if you want to watch that one.
What do you think happened to like comedy movies? I don't think they're as good as they used to be, like even late 2000s.
Give me an example of like ones that you thought were really good.
Well, I would go back like The Other Guys type of thing.
Okay.
Or like
yeah, Aim for the Bushes.
Yeah, like Jonah Hill movies.
Yeah.
Is it PC? Do you think it's gotten too PC?
It might be.
I mean, they're very careful, more than they used to. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you can't find a funny movie.
Mhm.
It just means they can't do what they used to do, and they're all very, they tread lightly.
It's interesting to go back and watch some of those movies and be like, could they make that movie today?
Yeah, and a lot of them no. The answer is no.
No, I watched a Paul Rudd movie that Role Models, not too long ago,
Yeah.
2008. Man, that movie, I was like, you try to make these are the same stars making the same movies today. They would never touch that script. They would never touch it. The last one I want to recommend to you is if you're really into stuff like I am with Twilight Zone and kind of the weird sci-fi that makes you constantly ask questions. This one's kind of thriller but sci-fi, and I guess there's a little bit of comedy in there because it's so strange, but it's called Vivarium. And little setup here, this is Jesse Eisenberg, and I think he might have been a part of the production of the movie too. He and his girlfriend, wife, whatever she is, they're looking for a house. And so a realtor takes them to look at a house, and then the movie happens.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Yonder, a wonderful development. It has all you'd need and all you'd want. Number 9. Number 9 is not a starter home. This house is forever.
Lee for a boy?
Do you have children?
No. It's not exactly what we're looking for. That guy was so strange.
Yeah. Wait. No, I don't think this is the right way.
Yeah, this is the way we came in.
Number 9 again. Did we just do some kind of loop?
How have we just...
Want me to drive?
Such a jerk.
Because I think this is not possible. We can't make turns like this over and over.
We have gone this way, Tom. Oh my god.
Okay, if you wonder what's going on, the realtor takes them into this town and shows them this one house. They look through it and they're like, it feels a little sterile. And then they come back out and the realtor's gone. And they are like, well, that was weird. So they drive away and they find that they're just driving in a loop. And they cannot get out of this prefab house town. And all the houses look the exact same.
What is it about houses that like aren't yours or just like you're seeing for the first time that they can be so scary in like movies or TV shows, like Fall of the House of Usher, like just stuff like that? What do you think?
I have no idea because I've never seen that movie.
Okay.
But this one is, I love when people get stuck somewhere and they have to find their way out of it. This is like a labyrinth.
Mhm.
And so no matter which direction they go, and they'll go through yards, like the first half of the movie is them trying to escape the town, and they finally realize they can't get out.
Mhm.
And so they're just like, well, now what? And there's nobody else in the entire town other than a little boy. And the little boy is so little when they find him that he's like a baby on the doorstep. And they have to start raising this kid, but they don't really know if they should because the little boy has a real deep voice. And they're like, I don't think that's a little boy, and I'm not sure where we even are.
Yeah.
It is a super entertaining movie, and I'm telling you, man, that it just gets weirder and weirder. By the end, you're like, I'm not sure what's real because the characters don't even know what's real. But for all of these movies, that one is on Tubi and Roku, so that's free. But they are Vivarium is the name of that one we just talked about. The Menu is on Netflix, and Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar on Hulu. Why those three?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the only three I can come up with. You know why? It's because I keep telling Ethan about a movie he needs to watch, and it's basically those three over and over.
My favorite part about this is you keep telling Ethan about a movie, but rather than have Ethan in, we had Drew in.
Yeah.
I'll fill in.
Ethan says, clearly Ethan's not watching them. Because I keep telling him, you got to watch this.
He's not interested.
He's not going to do it. I figure if I bullied him on the radio, but then he decided not to come in for the segment, so it didn't work anyway.
He's playing 4D chess on you.
Right. Jonathan Hoenig from capitalistpig.com is coming in next. I love talking to him, and actually right now, I really want to know, are we in a good economy or not? I don't know. Let's find out.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun. Always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-230-9333. 314-230-9333. That's 314-230-9333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Democrats want him fired. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. They're holding near daily events criticizing Elon Musk's access to government records as dangerous.
Nobody elected Elon Musk to be president, but he has his grimy hands all over our administration.
New Jersey Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, as the House Progressive Caucus pledged to keep up the pressure against what they call a power grab by Musk and President Trump. But Missouri Republican Senator Eric Schmidt says taxpayers have waited too long for real accountability.
This is a good fight for Republicans to have with the Democrats. If the Democrats want to be the guardians of permanent Washington in the abuse of taxpayer dollars, bring it on.
Today, a judge issued temporary restrictions on Musk's Doge team after the Justice Department agreed to read-only access for certain Treasury records and only for 2 Doge members. Separately, a judge temporarily blocking the president's buyout offer for federal workers, setting a Monday hearing on that program after labor unions sued and extending tonight's original deadline. The Trump administration files the first of many expected lawsuits targeting sanctuary cities and states.
The Department of Justice filing suit against Chicago and the state of Illinois, arguing their sanctuary laws interfere with Immigration and Customs Enforcement's ability to arrest and deport criminal illegal immigrants. Border czar Tom Homan saying one of the many issues is that sanctuary cities are not notifying ICE when criminal illegals are in their jails.
I've seen some sheriffs say, we're not going to hold them for ICE. You don't have to hold them a minute past what you know. Just let us know when you release them, let us be there.
Governor J.B. Pritzker in a statement saying in part that Illinois is compliant with federal law and that he looks forward to seeing them in court.
Fox's Jeff Benasso, the president vowing to protect religious liberty.
From the earliest days of our republic, faith in God has always been the ultimate source of the strength that beats in the hearts of our nation.
He's setting up a Justice Department task force on anti-Christian violence. America's listening to Fox News.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our temperatures going through Thursday afternoon, holding in the 40s. We should peak out at about 48, a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a chance of a spot shower. Tonight, clear and cold, 31. Friday, partly sunny, 42. Here comes the next batch of rain after midnight Friday night. That continues until about noontime on Saturday. Saturday, 59 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny, 38. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The colder weather is a great excuse to practice your Second Amendment skills inside at the Range St. Louis West. Mark Cox here from my friends at the Range, 14803 Manchester Road out in Baldwin. I told you they have the best training in town. February 19th, the Range is co-hosting a women's self-defense workshop at the West County Gracie Barra location. You can get the details on all these events and how to sign up on their website. It's therangestl.com or follow them on Facebook.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS. That's newnordicusa.com.
97.1 FM Talk encourages you to support Red Cross Disaster Relief. Visit redcross.org or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Your gift enables the Red Cross to help people recover from disasters big and small.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
My local Costco was out of eggs this weekend. We ended up paying $14 for 18 eggs.
This weekend, I went to the grocery store with my wife, and there were no eggs on the shelves.
The problem's reaching crisis levels. In November, a dozen eggs cost approximately $4 at a grocery store in New York, already too high. It used to be $2 a year earlier. Now, that same dozen eggs costs $6.
People are talking about egg prices a lot. I don't buy eggs enough to really watch that. Now, if you were talking about bananas or Rolos, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what the market is like
the Rolos
on these random things. But I don't buy eggs enough. I do understand that they're up. Let's talk to economist Jonathan Hoenig. He is from capitalistpig.com. Jonathan, thanks for being here.
Hey, great to be with you this afternoon. And, yeah, the egg situation's kind of different. It's not so much because of which we've all been dealing with for many, many years now. And egg prices are up really because of the situation with the eggs. It's bird flu, whereas they've got to kill, thousands and thousands and thousands of egg-laying hens. So demand goes up, supply goes down, costs a lot of regulation in the way, and you've got a spike in oil prices. So I don't think this is going to last, but for those of us who like a 3-egg omelet, times are tight.
Oh, man. Yeah, times are getting real tight, especially if those kind of prices are true. I guess it depends on what part of the country you live in, too. I'm sure it's a little bit more where Chuck Schumer is versus where we are here in the farm heartland.
Well, even a lot of the egg-centric restaurants have started to add a 50-cent per egg surcharge nationally. So this is something that, we're for everyday Americans are feeling. And it's at a time, administration, new and old, has taken kind of some victory laps about inflation coming down. But, most Americans are still finding that $1,000 ain't what it used to be. It doesn't go as far as it used to be. And we're seeing that, eggs, milk, groceries, and all the like.
Well, Jonathan, when I hear that it's mostly, in that clip we played anyway, it's mostly Democrats talking about egg prices, I'm assuming that means, well, we're just trying to score political points. And it actually makes me kind of encouraged that if that's the only thing that they're talking about, like you said, it's kind of an isolated issue. What does that mean for the broader economy? I honestly don't know whether we're in a good economy or a bad economy, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on.
Well, honestly, the thing that so many business leaders, Americans, world leaders are waiting on is one word, and that is tariffs. President Trump has made tariffs really the central part of not just his economic agenda, but his political agenda as well. And he's got a lot of really ambitious goals. Talked about stopping the flow of drugs, stopping undocumented migrants. And what's a little less clear is whether or not tariffs are going to accomplish those goals. We've seen some pretty startling predictions coming out and analysts coming out in the last couple of days. For example, that the new tariffs, if enacted, would add about $3,000 to the price of a new car, in order of $1,000 to the price of a new home. So that's the kind of the real world on the ground numbers that economists, businesses big and small, are starting to have to deal with if these policies get pushed through.
Are the markets shaky because they're unsure about Trump, or are they unsure about tariffs? Like, is it specific to tariffs and Trump, or is it just that, man, we really don't know what in general that guy's going to do?
Well, I mean, think about it. It's like 2/3 of all the vegetables, half the fruit and nuts come from Mexico. So when you start saying, well, we're going to make a big change or a financial change to that, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars. 99% of shoes are imported into this country. So, it's just the fact is, you can kind of sign a law and pass an edict, but you've got these supply chains which have been in place for many, many years. And what happened last time President Trump was in office, many people changed those supply chains from China. They moved them to Vietnam. So even at that point, some of that manufacturing didn't come home. So just lots of confusion. And, you guys, I'm sure, have heard that old market adage that the market hates uncertainty. So, yeah, the Dow's been up the last couple of days. It's down today. But analysts, big and small, are certainly concerned about that uncertainty. And one thing that's growing is the lobbying effort. With every tariff, you got to get a lobbyist to try to get your company to get an exemption from the tariff. So we could see a little bit of the kind of largesse that comes along with these types of government programs that could weigh on the productivity of us all.
Jonathan, aside from tariffs being something that obviously the president has used now in his second term, because he did it in his first two, as leverage against nations to get them to do what he wants them to do, what is the benefit financially to a nation that levies heavy tariffs, or is there one?
There is, I have to say, and it's not such a popular opinion now, but there isn't a benefit to the nation. When we levy tariffs, let's say, on China, it is American importers who pay those taxes. Tariffs are just taxes, but they're not paid by the country. They're paid by those of us who import it. And keep in mind, there's businesses whose whole market revolves around importing goods. So it's a bit disingenuous to say that when we impose tariffs on China or Mexico, those countries pay. It's Americans who import those goods. They're the ones who pay. And, it's very easy to say, just buy American. If you don't want to pay tariffs, just buy Americans. Well, in many cases, American goods simply aren't as good, or they're more expensive. And I have to say, I also think just being a free person, it means that if you make money, I think you should be allowed to spend it however you want. So there's a political issue here. There's an economic issue here. And I think there's kind of a fairness one as well. It's all coming down to this idea of your money. Do you get to spend it, or is the government basically nudging you into do what they think is right?
Economist Jonathan Hoenig joining us right now from CapitalistPig.com. During Trump's first term, we're too short into the second one to really know, but did we see the onshoring of a lot of companies that maybe either they have roots here in America and they were bringing things back home, or they just in general were based somewhere else and they moved to America? Did we see a lot of that in Trump's first term, and how, if so, was it beneficial?
Well, the manufacturing employment, that was so key, I think, to wanting to bring manufacturing. The amount of manufacturing jobs, interestingly, didn't increase. And the other indicator that I remember watching pretty closely that President Trump had mentioned was the so-called trade deficit. And, this is another one that I think is worth keeping an eye on. The trade deficit is something that President Trump seems to worry about quite a bit. We buy a lot of things from Mexico, for example, but they don't buy a lot of things from us. But think about it. We get the best of all worlds in that. They send us goods. We send them pieces of paper with a number printed on it. And, of course, when they get those dollars, they then reinvest them into American banks and American products and services. So, to have a trade deficit is a mark of a successful, prosperous country. And so not necessarily, I think, is something a president should be too worried about. As long as we're free, as long as we're productive, and we certainly are, I would never bet against this country. And I think that as long as the president keeps that in mind, the second term should do just fine.
Yeah, Jonathan, you kind of walked me right into the next question I was going to ask, and that's during the first 4 years of Trump's term, we saw a really great economy up until the middle of 2020 when COVID hit, of course. But what was it specific? He's so heavy on tariffs, so if you're saying, well, tariffs aren't really the determining factor, that's not really going to change the economy. What is it that he did, big picture, that the market likes so much, and why do we have such a good economy?
Well, to me, it's the difference between Cuba and Miami, Florida. Right, they're 90 miles away. But why is Cuba this backward, hellhole, living in the 50s and 40s with terrible services? And Miami is booming with millionaires and incredible technology and food. It's because of the government. It's because of the way of life. And as long as you have capitalism, as long as you have innovation, as long as you have risk takers willing to put people to work, open companies, try things, the whole AI innovation, which under President Trump, continued under President Biden, but spearheaded by these great American technology companies, it is changing the world and it's making people millionaires. Same thing with the Bitcoin revolution. So, you only see that kind of tremendous development and productivity in America. So never bet against this great country. And as I said, the freest countries have always been the most prosperous. As long as President Trump keeps us free, I think Americans of every social strata will continue to be the most prosperous on earth.
Yeah, and that's a good outlook. I mean, it's the big picture stuff that really matters. And I guess when people come to you as an economist who's well known, they're probably asking you for specific advice, but isn't it kind of those big picture things that if you're advising somebody based on today's stock market, if you're a day trader, you're trying to make some money, that's a different thing than should I generally invest in the United States or not?
The one piece of advice, I have a book called Price is Primary. It's for day traders, for investors. It's at Amazon. And I'll tell you, the one bit of advice I always give is don't double down. Every big loss started as a small loss and an arrogant trader who had to be right. So I've learned that lesson many, many times. Don't double down in the markets unless you really want to lose money fast. That's from Price is Primary, the best bit of advice I could probably give to listeners this afternoon.
And I'll give them a little bit of advice, too, because I read a book of yours called Could You Really Love a Dog? And I really enjoyed that. So thank you for writing that book as well, which is not necessarily as economic. Like, it's not really about day trading as much. I didn't get, unless there's a lot of more hidden meaning there. I'm not sure. But
No. It's just about our favorite things in our world. It's the best thing about dogs, when all the economics and family tumult is gone, you've got that wonderful four-legged creature to just hold in your arms. So
yeah.
Thank you for spreading the word.
Sure. Hey, before we run out of time with you, I do want to ask, I do a lot of real estate stuff, and so, some of this is personal, but I think it applies to everybody. Interest rates, what the heck? The bond market is not responding to the Fed at all, apparently, and interest rates to buy a house haven't moved in the right direction at all. What's going on, and what can we expect?
Isn't that interesting? Since September, the Fed has cut, 4 times, and rates are up. It's one of the reasons, again, on Price is Primary, I say, focus on the price. That's where the story is. I think, just putting, kind of 2 cents together here, I think it's some of the concerns about the spending and inflation. Gold quietly is at an all-time high. historically, that's tended to correlate with expectations of higher inflation. So, again, I think the irony would be that President Biden has been kind of championing inflation coming down, but with rates going up and gold going up, my fear is that it might be down, but it's not out.
Are you saying that you believe that we could be seeing more inflation based on those indicators?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me very much of the middle part of the 1970s. You know, under Johnson, they basically thought that they had inflation licked. Rates came down from about 9% to about 7%. People thought inflation was back in the bag, but they really didn't cut spending. So by the time you got to 1979 and 1980, interest rates were over 10%, and gold back then was over $1,000 an ounce. So, I'm not a Cassandra here, but over at capitalspig.com, I'm always looking for alternative strategies. I'm always trying to invest my portfolio for, maximum returns. So I'm definitely looking at higher rates in the weeks and months to come.
Well, Jonathan Hoenig, you said it, so I'll believe it. And I I hate to hear that. But gosh, we've been through a lot. I hope that I hope you're wrong this time, but you are one of the best. Thank you for being on the show today. Jonathan Hoenig, capitalistpig.com. Appreciate your time, and always glad to look up on the TV and see you on Fox News once in a while, too.
Best to be with you guys. Thank you again.
Yeah, take care. Jonathan Hoenig is just great. I really like that guy. He knows. It's funny when I talk to him several times. He knows the market so well that sometimes I'll ask him something that's a little bit too specific, and I'll know, okay, you just lost me, because he goes so hard into like the details, but he also gets the big picture of what makes an economy good, what makes an economy bad, and I think that's what we're all looking at this next 4 years is going, look, I'm actually personally in the same boat. I think that we might have some more trouble ahead. Even though you got Donald Trump in office, even though he's getting the spending under control and some of these things that are necessary for a good economy, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a year or so where, man, there's a dip. You can't control everything about an economy. We've printed too much money.
Yeah, what's really interesting, though, is he said that they thought he was talking about in the 70s, they thought they had inflation licked. He said, but they didn't get spending under control. So if they rein in spending, if they get that under control, maybe it won't quite be 1979, 1980.
I hope not. But he's right, man. These freaking interest rates. Like everything that you do that drives interest rates down, they've done. So why haven't mortgage rates come down more? If we hit a bad economy, though, that also means that mortgage rates probably will come down, because that tends to happen when the economy goes down. So, there's always ups and downs to everything, but it's weird how in the first 4 years, everybody, even who hated Trump, would go on CNN and go, look, I got nothing bad to say about this economy. Because you could always find some sort of black lining to the nice cloud or vice versa or whatever. You could always find something. And they couldn't find anything in those first 3 years to report on that was negative. And we reported on that then. Of course, we'll keep you updated now, just like we did with Jonathan Hoenig, and we'll stay on top of it. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry. One more time, the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll today. Have you been sick in 2025? That's because Annie is sick, or at least she doesn't have a voice. I don't know how she's feeling, but I know she goes to talk, and it's just kind of like, bleh. There's nothing there. So we'll see how tomorrow is. And hopefully she'll be back for a fun Friday show. We've got Tricia coming in, as typical at this time on a Thursday, so stay tuned.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal legal appeal are gone. Let the Land Story Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too, to help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose, paid for by Bayer.
Mark Cox here. Are you looking for the perfect start to your child's education? At Kirk Day School, the early childhood program for ages 3 and 4 is where your little one will learn to thrive. They have hands-on activities, nurturing teachers, and a biblical worldview. You can attend their early childhood open house Friday, March 7th, meet the dedicated educators, and tour their Christ-centered classrooms. To register for their early childhood open house and learn more, visit kirkdayschool.org.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Odyssey.com is a universe of audio, and it's where you can download the app to stream 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it today and stream anytime from anywhere. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
I've got fire for a heart. I'm not scared of the dark. You've never seen it look so.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
Got a river for a soul, and baby, you're a boat.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Tricia's here for probably the hardest hitting segment of the day, wouldn't you say?
Hey, yeah, it's glad I could be here to serious the place up.
You're talking about serious, deep government corruption.
Very, very deep.
Like
yep.
we were talking about really deep corruption, but you're actually going 3 levels deeper, as I understand
the
it.
deepest you can go.
Before you go that deep?
Yep.
A couple of those movies that I was mentioning.
Yeah.
You've seen them?
Vivarium and The Menu.
And you liked The Menu, but not necessarily Vivarium.
I liked both. Vivarium leaves you a very icky feeling.
Vivarium does leave a weird feeling because it's just weird.
And, yeah, it's icky.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Do you remember the ending? I'm not going to say what it was.
I do. And the noises and it's meant to make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it does. It does a good job, but it's not a fun watch. I thought The Menu was kind of a fun watch.
The Menu is oddly funny.
Isn't that the purpose of watching a movie, though, is to have fun?
Yes.
Oh, but I had a blast watching Vivarium because it's so uncomfortable.
And I didn't. I was
like the sci-fi like Black Mirror stuff.
It was very Twilight Zone-esque, and I appreciated that.
What about the third one of the 3? Did you hear me say Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar?
I've never
I just
seen
like
that.
saying it.
Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Yes, with Kristen Wiig.
Oh, I love her.
It's a funny movie.
She's funny.
It doesn't seem to have a point, but I don't know that they care.
Yeah. No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Before we get into some, again, really deep government corruption uncovering.
Right, obviously.
Dr.
The
Pepper
deepest.
Blackberry is here.
Wow.
Did you see that?
Speak about
I brought
speaking
it
of
in
corruption
for all of you guys if you want to try it.
How do they add another flavor to
Yeah, there's
Dr.
23.
Pepper?
It's like that's the right number.
And Blackberry isn't already one of them. Like, oh, he's already got a pour
he's like, I'm going to have this.
Ooh, I'm not sure about this.
All right, let me try. Brad, you want some?
Yeah, I'll need it.
All right.
Yeah,
Talk
I mean,
amongst
it's
yourselves.
exactly what you think it's going to be, and I'm not sure that you're going to love that. It's not bad. It's just like Dr. Pepper strawberry, where it's like, yeah, that's what that would be.
It
You put
smells
ice
like-
in it.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay.
It smells like lip smackers. Are you guys?
Yeah.
are you
Oh,
guys
it does.
Familiar with lip smackers?
It's like more blackberry than Dr. Pepper by
Okay,
the smell.
go ahead. I want to see what you guys
Okay.
think of it because I grabbed this yesterday, knowing that I might be hosting the show today. Thinking, let's do a taste test live.
I might host. Let me grab some Dr. Pepper
let
blackberry.
me grab some soda.
Here's
That's
what the
like,
people want.
That's like Dr. Pepper and cough medicine.
Yeah,
It's like that. Let's throw a little Dimetap in there.
I can't say I hate it, but
Yeah, I just don't know why.
I don't. Yeah.
It's
gosh, I
it's
hate
fine.
it worse now that you said Dimetap
You
because that is what that
Yeah.
tastes like. Ah, gosh, because I liked it a little bit. Now I don't.
No, you don't.
I think we're a thumb sideways,
It's
maybe
like- no,
angling
no.
down.
No.
Angling
Because-
down?
Well, when I look at this, it's
Yeah,
like
I won't ever drink that again.
Tricia says,
it's
like,
fine. I don't
what's
know.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not different enough from Dr. Pepper, save for the aftertaste
And the smell.
and the smell.
The
that
smell
makes
is off-putting for a
like.
drink.
Why wouldn't I just have Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. It's just when I see it, I'm like, oh,
You would.
I have to get that, and I don't even get like one bottle of it. I'm like, let's get the 12-pack.
Obviously.
For no reason at all, and now we're stuck with it.
Yep. I'm gonna drink mine, but I'm not enjoying it.
Drink this angrily.
Gosh, it just makes me mad. It makes me mad that these things exist and they get me every single time.
Yeah.
Let's get into your content.
I don't really have much.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's really good.
Well, I had a follow up on your eggs piece.
Yeah.
So thieves steal 100,000 eggs from a trailer in Pennsylvania. Did you guys cover this yet?
No, but I did see this story.
Yeah, so police in Pennsylvania are hunting down thieves who stole 100,000 eggs from the back of a trailer amid a U.S.-wide spike in egg prices. You guys just spoke about that because of the bird flu. The prices of eggs have gone up. What I think is crazy about this story, it happened at 8:40 p.m. They don't know where these eggs went. They're still looking for these guys.
Which is amazing. That's
Right.
a lot of eggs.
That's a lot of eggs.
Like, he can't be, whoever this is, stealing the eggs because he just wanted more eggs.
No, it's.
He's
mean,
going to sell these eggs
Yeah,
or use
this
them
is a black
somehow.
market egg.
And you've
Yeah.
got multiple. There's got to be multiple people involved, and they just picked up 100,000 eggs out the back of a truck. It's a sorry state.
What I read about that story was that they estimated that his theft was like $40,000 or $50,000. Does that sound right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Worth of
something like
eggs
that.
because of the price of eggs. And I thought, okay, $40,000 or $50,000. That's like a salary. That's like a year's salary, depending on where you work.
Yeah, it's a moderately good heist.
Yeah, so it's a good steal.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just say that? I can't say that.
A profitable one.
A
a
profitable-
worthwhile steal if you are a stealer.
Yeah, a profitable burgle.
Is a
A
high value target.
Yes.
A mid-value target. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna go heist and you're not,
I mean, if you're
you'll
gonna
probably
steal
get
eggs,
$1 million from diamonds, and they're
now's
much
the time.
smaller. I don't.
But that's what I thought too. Is like if you're gonna plan a heist, you went after eggs. I get they're up. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's a volatile market. You don't have that long to hold these.
It's volatile, and they're also very breakable. So you've got a
Yes.
lot of there's
Yeah,
a
it
lot
had
of
to
risk
be
involved.
like even the transport of getting them to wherever you're going. You got to be pretty careful.
I mean, you've got to be careful when you put them in your cart
yeah, you
at the
can't-
grocery store.
you
You got to
can't-
check, and then you got to
Right.
make sure there's nothing other than bread on top of them.
You can't speed away after you load your vehicle up after stealing them.
No, you put them like somewhere safe. You
drive
tuck them somewhere under a
gingerly
seat
away.
or next to you.
Yeah, and if you're taking 100,000, unless the guy did he steal the whole truck?
No,
or did he
I-
just steal the cargo out of a
The
truck?
way I read this, he just stole the cargo.
That's what I thought too. So
it
this
lifted from the back of Pete and Jerry's Organics distribution trailer on Saturday.
see, they were organics, so they were more.
Worth it.
But you had to plan
good stuff.
Like, okay, not just plan a heist, but you had to come up with a way to transport that many eggs without breaking them to where you're going to then make what, how?
Bunch of omelets.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like the smartest heist to me.
I did pick out this little nugget from that story too. Waffle House, the Georgia-based restaurant chain, said it is now adding a 50 cent charge per egg.
You know who
due
told
to
us
this
about that?
Storage. Your
Jonathan
last
Hoenig.
guest. Yeah.
He
My
snuck
bad.
it in there. It doesn't mean that you weren't listening.
Yeah, I was listening.
You were listening,
I
of course you do.
There's just a lot
That's
going
what you
on
do.
with eggs.
What about peanuts?
Do you know how they grow?
No.
Aren't they underground?
Yep, and apparently a lot of people didn't know that, myself included. I just never thought about it.
Where do you think they rained?
Well, most nuts grow above ground on trees.
Yeah, but
a peanut is neither a pea nor a nut.
The peanut,
Seinfeld
in
told me that.
fact, is a unique plant as it flowers above ground but bears fruit beneath the surface. Some people think that's general knowledge, and I did not know that, and neither did Reddit. A lot of people on Reddit were confused.
I am never surprised when people don't know something about agriculture.
Well, pecans and walnuts grow on trees,
Yeah.
so the internet now knows where peanuts come from.
I am a little surprised that people didn't know this either. That seemed, but you didn't know it.
Bunch
so.
of know-it-alls. I don't know that I didn't know it. It's something I've literally never thought about.
I read a book about George Washington Carver.
Okay.
So
Tell
I
us
think
more about that.
I know a little bit more than the average person.
Sure, about George Washington
Let's hear it.
Carver.
Yeah, I
at
mean, I
least.
can't tell you a whole lot, but I think it wasn't just that he figured out how to make peanut butter, because that's what he's famous for. But he figured out like hundreds and hundreds of products that come from a peanut, all traced back to George Washington Carver. And there's a legend. There's a legend with George Washington
He's making
Carver.
the face.
That he prayed to God. Now, this is the kind of stuff that you're like, I don't know that I believe this, but it makes a great story. That he prayed to God. He said, God, tell me why you made the universe. Because George Washington Carver is a well-known Christian. And that God spoke to him or revealed to him, whatever. Well, that's too big for you. And so George Washington Carver said, okay. So he took some time and he kind of ruminated on it. And he came back and he said, God, why did you make man? And God said, that's too big for you. This is real. People really tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
And that then, okay, George Washington Carver went back and he ruminated on it for a little bit. And he came back again and he said, God, if you can't tell me why you made the universe and you can't tell me why you made man, then tell me why you made the peanut. And God said, I will. So then that's where he got all of these, like hundreds and hundreds of things that he was able to create from the peanut.
Such a dork.
It's ridiculous.
It's a cool story. I love that story. I love that story. You don't have to tell it as dramatically as I did, but it's kind of cool. I hope that it's true.
If you
Well, I mean, he's like...
he had a literal conversation with God. About
I don't
peanuts.
know about that.
God said, I'm sorry, I can't tell you about the universe. I can't tell you
Yeah.
about man. But if you want to pick up a book and read about peanuts, or in this case, go to Reddit.
There were
you
no
can
books on
learn-
peanuts at that time. They were written by George Washington Carver.
Oh, he wrote all the peanut books?
Yeah, nobody cared about peanuts at that time.
Interesting.
They were a crap crop.
A crap.
Uh-huh.
A crap.
Yeah. He made them worthwhile, though. And he really, I don't know if you, that's a fact that George Washington Carver
I really don't know.
really did, make the peanut into a viable product. Because before, it was just, buy a peanut, eat a peanut. There was nothing else anybody was doing with them. He basically invented everything we know about peanuts.
Wasn't the whole purpose of peanut butter to make a nutrient-dense food that was very affordable so that it would help with malnourishment in the South?
And as I understand it, he prayed, God, can you make me a nutrient-dense product that can feed many people in the South? And God said, I will. That's the way that story ended. I read about it. Do you have any more stories?
Not really.
See, that was my job to carry that.
You
thing.
did great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did really, really great.
Carry, drag along behind you.
Nothing else?
The Colombian president says cocaine is no worse than whiskey.
Well, that's what I would expect him to say.
Cocaine is no worse than whiskey and is only illegal because it comes from Latin America, said Colombian President Gustavo Petro during a live broadcast of a government meeting. Colombia is the world's biggest cocaine producer and exporter, mainly to the United States and Europe, and has spent decades fighting against drug trafficking. He reasons that if you want peace, you have to dismantle the business of drug trafficking, and it could easily be dismantled if they legalize cocaine in the world and would sell it like wine. He also points out that fentanyl is actually the problem in America, and that comes from American-made pharmacies, and cocaine is fine. So, do you guys have any thoughts about legalization of cocaine?
I think that the only people I know who would be like, yeah, gung-ho about it would be like Hunter Biden.
People that go to raves still.
People that go to
are those
raves.
still a thing? Although that's more of an ecstasy thing, I think.
I think that's more X.
I've heard.
I don't know. But have you ever been to a rave?
No.
Brad,
not
I'll let
recently.
you answer the cocaine question. I'll tell you about a rave.
You guys, this is the best room to ask about cocaine.
You're
by the
going to
way.
let me answer the cocaine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was one of those people that was kind of like middle of the road when it came to legalizing marijuana. And as we've gotten into it and what we've seen people do and their responsibility with it, I'm very much like, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done that because people, they didn't keep their end of the bargain. Like
the coke addicts didn't?
No, but what I'm getting at is I don't see how this would be any different with the cokeheads. Like the potheads were like, yeah, no, we'll do it in the
voice.
Privacy of our own home. We'll take care of all of this, and it won't bother you or anything like that. And you can't go anywhere in Illinois where you don't smell the skunk bud. Like I know I've told you off air, but I've pulled up at an intersection alongside a guy with tinted windows. Through my tinted windows, I could see through his tinted windows the 2-foot flame coming off the end of the blunt, and he had his sunroof open, and it looked like a chimney with the amount of smoke coming out of it. And they just haven't kept their end of the bargain. So no. Legalizing cocaine is a terrible idea, and the ramifications would echo for a long time.
I don't think Brad agrees with the Colombian president.
I think he's an idiot.
I guess they should take it up with one another then. Do you have a strong feeling about it?
Cocaine.
Well, I'll tell you in a roundabout way.
Please take a long time.
I will. When I was, and just buckle in. Like if you're getting ready to go into a store or something, don't. Like stay here.
Stay right where you are because Ryan's about to do his thing.
When I was in college, I had a roommate. His name was Johnny B. I don't remember his last name.
He go to raves?
But it started with a B. And I didn't know him. I was just placed with him. And I was placed in a non-smoking dorm because I have cystic fibrosis. Johnny B was placed in a non-smoking dorm because he smoked.
Like his parents were like,
yes.
He gets non-smoking.
Yes.
This is how we're going to parent
yes.
this.
And I didn't know that yet. I was just getting to know him because he was going to be my roommate. So in Carbondale, which you asked me earlier where I went to school, I graduated from Carbondale. We walked down some of those streets. They were like the party streets. And you just walk down the street and you'd, at the time, pay $3-4 for a cup, and you'd walk in and you'd have a couple beers, or, some people get totally blasted on one $3 cup. But we were just walking around with nowhere to go. I don't think either one of us were quite 21, so this is probably something I shouldn't be saying on the radio. But we were close.
It's Carbondale.
And it was
Everybody
Carbondale.
knows what's happening.
And I mean, we were real close to it. So I don't know that we could just go to a restaurant and just have a beer. So we had to go to a house party and have a beer. So we were sitting in a basement. We were kind of early because we were just kind of trying to talk and get to know each other. And we're sitting in this basement. And it's probably 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we're just kind of talking and ask, where are you from? What, blah, blah, blah. Well, throughout a 2-hour span of us just doing what we were intending to do, which is get to know each other, we realized that that party we had attended was a rave. But we had just gotten there so early that we didn't know it.
So you're sitting in the basement of a rave just waiting for the rave to start?
Waiting for them to turn the lights out and the black lights on?
Kinda. But they didn't just go, okay, rave starts now. It was like they'd do one thing. They'd turn off this area of lights. And then, this girl would show up, and she'd have those light rings on. Mm-hmm. And she'd just kind of,
gradually got
flailing
more
around,
as you sat there.
And by the time it gets to 10 o'clock, I'm like, we're at a rave. I've never been. How neat is this? We've never been to a rave.
It's like when you place a frog in boiling water. Brian's just sitting there waiting. It's getting warmer. This is cozy. All of a sudden, it's popping.
It was the one time I'd ever been. And the moment I realized it was not the glow sticks. That should have been when I realized it. It was when people were just making out. And I was like, Johnny B, I don't know if you intended to come to this, but this is not what I was going to do. So hopefully this isn't your kind of thing, because I'm not into that.
How'd Johnny B feel about it?
Johnny B was also not into that.
That's
so we
good.
just went back to our dorm and he just smoked. That's the end of that great story. So thank you for sitting in the parking lot and not going into the store. You can now go into the store, but listen online and vote in our YouTube live chat poll, which Brad is about to tell you about in the time check. You're not going to want to miss that. Stick around.
With your love, nobody can drag me
This
down.
is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
These lights, they can't blind me. With your love, nobody can drag me down.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for my friends at Zero Res. February, of course, is the month for love. And when's the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? Have you gotten down on your hands and knees and adored how clean and refreshed it was? Or are you scared about what you might see or smell? Probably the latter. Keep in mind, not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's the biggest air filter in your home. So if your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, and bacteria. So during the month of February, Zero Res is going to take care of that. It's the Love Your Rug special. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at $119 plus a 4th room clean for free. And don't forget Dirt and Dander's favorite hiding place. That's your air ducts. This month, take $75 off when you get your air ducts professionally cleaned. Zero Res cleaned. Call Zero Res now at 314-474-2020. Make sure you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk to get the special for the month of February. Call now, 474-2020 or online at ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Triton Exteriors, specifically my friend Tim Nesbitt, who is the owner. He is from the customer service business, 20 years in the restaurant business. So the answer is yes. What's the question? Anything you need. Hospitality, personal service. We're upscale. We're a James Hardy company. Roofing and siding and gutters and great value. Tim just texted me and he beat the next closest bid by $15,000, just the 7-1159 or Triton-STL.com.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you been sick in 2025? Got 4 options here for you. Yes, cold symptoms. Yes, stomach issues. Yes, both. Or, no, I haven't been sick. So, to vote in this poll, you have to go on YouTube and find Annie Fry's page. You go to YouTube, type in Annie Fry, F-E-R-Y. It'll take you to her page. The live stream will be there.
F-R-E-Y.
F-R-E-Y. Did I say it backwards?
F-E-R-Y.
I do that all the time. Anyway, Fry with an E. Anyway, jump on YouTube. Vote in the poll. Leave us a comment. Tell us why you voted the way you voted. And it is 2:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Good afternoon. It's Mark Reardon. Very few answers, a lot of allegations when it comes to the crash at Reagan National last night. John Reed, who's a local veteran pilot, aviation journalist, going to join us at 3:25. We also have the Kash Patel hearings on Capitol Hill, and our own Eric Schmidt was a big star in those. We'll have audio and details all coming up after Fox News at 3.
I'm through with standing in line. The clubs I'll never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win this. Life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be. Tell me what you want. I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs and a bathroom I can play baseball in.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I know I'm getting old and really responsible when I hear Nickelback, and I don't think about Nickelback anymore. I think a bathroom big enough to play baseball in. Man, I can't imagine the property taxes. That's the only thing I thought. I didn't even think about it would be fun. Nothing. Just that's a lot of space.
That sounds expensive. Do I need
Sounds
that much?
yeah.
Kids are almost out of the house.
Right. What am I going to do with all that? It's a big bathroom. It'd be fun to play baseball. I don't know. I was looking up the stats for the Blues, oddly.
The Blues hockey team?
Yeah, the Blues hockey team, because I was just, for whatever reason, just wondering if they were still in the playoff hunt. It looks, I think they technically are, but aren't they selling off people? And aren't they kind of are they throwing in the towel, or is that just my perception?
It might be the perception, but it also might be kind of the same thing where they're cutting some salary. But Ethan was telling me the other day, hopefully he's got some time to come in here, but he was telling me the other day that what they're trying to do is make room for some of the young players. Yeah, there he is.
Okay, what's the situation with the Blues right now? Are they selling? Are they still in it?
I feel like
both?
I feel like you were very much so in a mindset of like, what do I have to do to get Ethan in here? And then you just kind of like threw one out there, and then you're reeling in, and there I come.
Got a bite.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Blues. True. So right now the Blues are in a tough spot. They are technically still in the mix when it comes to the playoff hunt, but the odds are just dwindling very quickly.
You know who they'd have to catch is the Calgary Flames. Do you say Calgary or Calgary? Which one do you say? You're a sports professional. Calgary?
Do you say it the correct way or the incorrect way?
I actually know a lot of people who say Calgary.
What time is it?
Calgary is the right way, though.
Is it really?
Yes.
See, Ethan?
What?
Yes, that's the way the Canadians say it.
See?
Calgary?
Calgary. Yeah.
Were you baiting me?
Vancouver?
I've never heard
Is that how the
say
Canadians say it too?
Canadians. Oh yeah, sure.
See? You laughed like I was making a joke. I don't do that.
I think you made an accidental joke.
If the Blues are going to make the playoffs, they have to catch Calgary. And I just don't know if they're going to do it.
Calgary. Just say it that way.
53 points. And they got, here's the thing. Calgary has 59 points. But so do the Vancouvers.
The Canucks.
And so does Utah.
What are they, the Utah Hockey
Club?
Club?
The Utah
right
Hockey
now,
Club.
they are going to change their name likely next year. They're down to 3 options. And they went for the Utah Yetis. But that
that was cool.
Yeah, but it was already, I guess, trademarked.
By Yeti? The cup?
Probably. So
there's another cup that's already trademarked.
Really showing off your sports knowledge in this segment.
The Utah Stanleys.
But they don't care about that.
So I'm trying to find these leaked, because they did release the options. Here they are. The options are the Utah Hockey Club, so it would just stay, and then the other 2 are the Utah Outlaws or the Utah Mammoth. I think the Utah Mammoth would be awesome.
Of those 3 options, the Utah Mammoth is far and above the best choice.
You guys are wrong. It's the Utah Outlaws. That's kind of cool, except that they're not really like Old West in the Utah.
Like when you think
like
about Utah,
South Dakota, maybe Outlaws would be cool.
When you think about Utah, do you think about those wild, crazy Utahns?
No, but I like the name.
Their uniforms are navy and like a light blue, so I feel like Mammoth fits more. It's more wintry, and that's just a cool name.
That's
Their logo looks awesome.
Is it
it's
after
like,
the woolly mammoth, or are they just saying they're going to only sign giant guys?
The goalie fits in the whole net.
I imagine it's...
I was wondering why they didn't do that.
It's a woolly mammoth, I would imagine.
Some like 450-pound guy as a goalie. No, he can't move a lot, but he's not supposed to.
But he's also 450 pounds, so he's probably woolly as well.
Yeah, like you take all the shots you want. He's just eating Cheetos in the goal. You can't get through him. He covers the whole goal. 250. I don't know why I said the time, but you're looking for sort of a transition here.
Let me ask you, because I went to
the Blues game.
Yeah, I went to a Blues game on Tuesday night, and first of all, it was a good game. They were playing a really good Edmonton team, and they coughed it up with, I think, about 2 minutes left, and they gave it
Edmonton.
No, Edmonton. But anyway, blown coverage on, I don't remember if it was McDavid or Drysdale, but they blew the coverage on one of those, and those are like the 2 guys you just can't leave alone. And they tied it up, and then they ended up losing in extra time, which the NHL has the best extra time rules with the 3-on-3 and the sudden death. But I got into the game, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in my seats, and we're up in the 300 section, up in the top, and this lady's sitting in front of me with her boyfriend, her husband, whatever, her significant other. And about the end of the first period, 2 ladies came walking in, and the first lady walks by, and she's got a big old like, I don't know, Bud Light, Budweiser or
Oh,
something.
so you ladies. I was thinking like fancy ladies.
No.
But you're talking about some ladies.
Some
Thinking like
ladies.
single ladies, like all the
And
single ladies.
So they walk in and they go to sit down, and as they go to sit down, the lady drops her beer and spills it all over the other lady that was sitting in front.
How, did she actually spill it on her, or did she drop it and it just kind of went everywhere?
I think it slipped out of her hand and hit the front of hit the back of the chair, and then just kind of went whoosh.
Did you see it?
Yes.
So did it soak this woman, or
yes,
just
because when
spray
it
her?
happened, I actually said out loud, "Oh no!" Anyway, they say so. She sat down. The lady was like that. I had an angle where I could see the lady sitting in front's face, which the lady sitting next to me who spilled the beer could not. And she was not happy. She was very angry, very frustrated. Earlier in the day, or in the game, a little kid who's maybe like 1 year old threw his mom's empty popcorn bucket. It was empty, but it hit the lady in the head.
Wait, the same lady that got the beer?
So that was earlier. But it was just a little kid, and she turned around, saw the little kid, and the mom was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then everybody kind of giggled.
Is it the lady holding the beer's son that was hitting the woman?
No. This was somebody up above them. So like this kid just launches. So this lady up front just gets absolutely drenched. And the lady who spilled the beer just said, "Oh, I am so sorry." And that was it. It was just silence after that. And that lady's sitting there holding her arm out with the beer dripping off of her hockey jersey. And
so it's like full on.
Yeah, it was a big beer.
Okay.
Big expensive beer. And so they get up and they leave.
Both of them?
Yeah, the lady in front and the lady's boyfriend in front. So the people that got he got a little bit on him, but she bore the brunt of it. And they got up and they walked out. And I didn't see them again until the third period. But my question for you guys is this. If that happens, if you're the person who spills the beer after saying you're sorry, is that it? Or do you have more to offer?
Well, I think you offer whatever you possibly can, but I don't know what you can give. I don't really know what you could do.
Well, I leaned over to my wife, and one of the things I said to her was, I think if I did that, one of the things I would do is offer to buy you a drink. Like, let me buy you something.
I would offer whatever I could come up with.
This sounds like a drink, a soda, or...
This sounds like a brilliant way to hit on a girl for any of you single guys out there.
Yeah, it does. Oops,
accidentally
I spilled all over your jersey.
Let me buy you
a drink.
Let me go take you out after this and buy you a drink.
Now, if I'm the other way, if I'm the person who gets spilled, if I'm the woman who's sitting there and I get just dumped on, I'm just going shirtless.
If you're the woman? Mm-hmm. What if you're the guy? What if you're a guy?
I'd probably go to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom.
Stand in front of the dryer. But
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You?
I would have thought of that. I wouldn't have thought about it.
Has anything like that ever happened to you guys, where you've had a drink or something spilled on you?
But never to that extent. Like you get a little bit like on you, but not to where like the entire thing just pours all over you.
I would imagine it's going to happen if you go to enough sporting events. I went to a concert one time, and I think it was a Point Fest, and the Urge was not the headliner, but the second to last group. And the Urge in St. Louis at Point Fest when I was like 15.
Oh yeah,
they were it, and they blew the roof off the place. I mean, everybody was like, "Whoa!" But
that's how they sounded.
Yeah, but imagine that, but thousands of people.
Yeah, if you walked into Riverport Amphitheater at that time.
It's like a Fetty Wap.
Like a baby whale.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they Candlebox was the next act, and they came out, and everybody was burnt out. They were done. The show was over. And nobody was standing up, and I was worn out, and I'm sitting there. I'd been out in the hot heat all day going to all these different things. If you've ever been to Point Fest, you know what I'm talking about. And I could faintly hear somebody yell, "Get up, stand up, get up." And then all of a sudden...
Was it Mike Shannon?
No, it wasn't that cool. Because if it was him, I would have stood up. I didn't know he was talking to me, but he threw his beer all down my back. So I'm like 15.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Was he right by you?
He was behind me one row.
But there was a bunch of people?
Yeah, but what was he trying to get you to do?
Stand up for Candlebox.
Oh, so you were just sitting because you were tired? And he was mad that you weren't supporting Candlebox?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Can't
wrong.
blame the guy.
No.
I mean, that's horrible.
That's crazy. Okay. I don't know. I mean, what did the lady do? Like, to conclude the story.
At the end of the day, the lady, they came in. She's like, "Look, I am very, very sorry. Are you okay?" And the other lady was like, "This is by the third period." "Yeah, no, I'm fine. It's okay." And that was kind of how it ended. But I'm like, man, you just kind of threw your beer on her and didn't even offer, like, try to make recompense or anything. You're like,
and you just sat there like a doofus with your hands out.
I don't know. I just hope that the lesson learned from this segment, well, not a lesson, but something that will happen in Ethan's future, is that he will go and become a famous broadcaster for the NHL. And every time he sees Calgary, he thinks of this segment.
Calgary. Ethan, do you want to read the poll results?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Good save there. Today's YouTube live chat poll, 274 votes. Have you been sick in 2025? 26% say yes with cold symptoms. Only 5% say yes with stomach issues. 13% say yes to both. And 56% say no.
Wow. So it is our perception. It's just the people around us that are sick. Glad to hear you're not, or at least most of you. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully Annie will be back.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314